He's managed to get himself on the inside, but he's caught up on the curve. Shaun Allan, the outside special. We've had a huge crash. This can't be real.
I think he might have this job done finally. Dayne Warren gives him no space. He's in the wall. He's in the wall. Turn 4. He's taking out Bruce Dean as well.
Oh, big moment there. Kurt's Tenberg on his roof. Big crash at turn 4. That is an unfortunate huge crash. It's a huge wiggle on while he was clear. What the? A late move, final corner, at the death. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 5th round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. My name is Stairs, and I'm delighted to welcome back Madbird into a socially distant commentary box.
Absolutely, it is lovely to be back here with you, Stairs, in a respectable and responsible manner. We're here at Barbagallo.
We are. I didn't get to do this round last year. You and Michael Zalavari brought us all the action from last year's Perth SuperNight race, so I'm glad to be here for this round.
Yeah, absolutely. To put you in a little bit, I can only assume this is going to be a lot more competently run than it was last season.
Well, you've laid down the gauntlet now. Well, we've talked about last season. Let's talk about last night and the Super 2 results, where Kai Sloggett took out a longer race. They just did the one race last night, Madbird, and your favourite Kai Sloggett taking victory in what was actually quite a closely fought race over the, I think it was 35 laps. Stephen Burko, a former championship leader, came in second place, ahead of Brett Jarrett's. Benjamin Dahlia, another driver who's been pretty competitive in this championship, he finished fourth. RSM Latino, the championship leader, down there in fifth, ahead of Tony. Peter Richards in seventh, Brap, and
Wayne Carr and Steve Warwick
rounding out the 10. That's the points, Madbird. Quite close, actually. And would you believe it? Not a single position changed hands in the top 10 since the last round, despite them actually being not that far apart from each other.
I was about to say, all those names look like people who are in the top 10 of that race. So for them to have not switched positions is kind of impressive.
It is very, very impressive. Now, we'll have a chat later on about the results in last round, but we're going to jump into qualifying now because it's just about to get underway. And here is the racetrack, Barbagallo Raceway, Wanneroo, whatever you want to call it. It's the Perth SuperNight event. It's a short little track and quite challenging, that first sector up and down, or up, mostly up actually, as you climb up through the S's, round turn 4 and turn 5. Very, very hard on the tyres, this one, and then towards the bowl, this long right-hand turn at turn 6, and then the longest straight on the racetrack down to the final corner. A very good opportunity to overtake down there at turn 7. And the inside curve last year provided a little bit of controversy with a bit of a glitch, I believe it was, Madbird, taking drivers out of the race.
Yeah, it was, I don't know what the issue was, if there was just like a gap in the geometry that sent the cars flying, but people were just flipping left, right and centre, and it took a couple of people out of race-winning positions. So we've been assured that it has been fixed for this season, so we can only hope that that is the case, and it looks as if the two ZB racing guys, David Nadich and Zach Baker, are leading us out of the pit lane.
That they are, and I guess mainly thanks to their fortuitous garage position here at Wanneroo, but nonetheless, they head out into the night and up the hill. Such
an undulating track. We did this in DRMs in the last season for Apex Rear Wing, which was certainly an experience. Lots of tricky braking zones down slopes and around corners that if you're not on it, can really mess with you in a bad way. You can easily spin the car coming around most of these bends. And of course, this last corner, you dip so hard down that slope. It's a very hard corner to get yourself slowed up for in time.
And they've also been told not to extend. There's a fair bit of tarmac runoff on the exit of that corner, and they've been told not to take too many liberties with the outside of the racetrack, as they will be punished for it, man.
Absolutely, and they are using the pit entry after the last corner. So there are two entrances to the pit lane. There's the one before the last corner, that you sort of peel off on the back straight, and there is the one immediately following the last corner. So you basically come around the last corner and you have to get hard on the anchors and right hand down to get straight into the pit lane. So that is the one that they've opted to use for this particular race.
So David Nenadic will be the first man to set a time, but I'm looking at the timing screens and Dayne Warren has already lit it up with a 21.3. Probably a good opportunity to talk about the lap record because it's a record that probably won't stand for too much longer. It currently is held by Jake Maloney, who last year did a 52.9. 53.4 already from Zach Baker and Kurt Stenberg in second place. And so those times are starting to come in thick and fast.
Yeah, and Zach Baker has gone faster still, with Colin Warwick also jumping up ahead, and Luke Rosella with the purportedly large forehead. And here is Dayne Warren. Looks like he is just coming through the second sector. He's about 21 seconds going through there, which is about 0.3 of a second faster than current first place man Zach Baker. Shaun Allan jumping up into second place after a decent round last round out at Pukekohe. Bit of a belated start to his season, that, but he would be hoping for some continued good results tonight.
So last corner here for Dayne Warren, and he's been up purple through first and second sectors, and again in the third sector, 52.991. That is the current lap record.
That is...
And I say that not because Dayne Warren just said it, but because that was the pole time last year of Jake Maloney Madbird.
That is to the third decimal place, exactly the same as the pole record last season. And that was only his first flying lap, so let's see what he can do about that from here.
Well, 3,000's down only in the first sector.
Just not good enough.
Well, he might have more in the second and third sectors, Dayne Warren, but I'm excited in my giblets for that. 52.991. What an appropriate start to this qualifying session. He is up. He's up by a 10.5, so he wasn't good enough in the first few sectors. He was more than good enough in the final sectors. Bit of curb on the inside. They have been told to stay off that because even though the problem with the curb is fixed, as he goes and takes another 10th out of his record-breaking run here. Lost about half a tenth there in that last bit of the lap.
A little bit scrappy going for that last corner by the looks of it. So there goes that very briefly tied lap record. Has now become Dayne Warren's, as have every other lap record so far this season.
That's it.
Shaun Allan also improving behind to keep second place. And Kurt Stenberg also getting up into third place. So it's quite the shorter the lap gets, the harder it is to find time. So they're all doing quite a good job to continue improving here.
Shaun Allan's got form here, double winner last year in in Barbagallo. Don't know how I got the name of the circuit confused with my co-commentator, but I did. And he's up by a 10.5 on his own PB, so 0.3 the gap to Dayne Warren currently. He's looking to cut that in half as it stands.
Yeah, he got a little bit, the tail out a tiny bit there going through the bowl.
And he lost time through
Lost time, yeah, so it's very easy to do. It's a very hard corner, but you also need to carry a lot of speed through there. And it's also, if that wasn't enough, a bit sloped, goes from uphill to downhill as you go through the corner. So it is a very tricky corner to get right, and it is a very important corner because it leads onto that long back straight. Well,
he beat his previous personal best, but not by anywhere near as much as he was hoping to, because he lost time through the second and third sectors and ends up on a 53.1-ish. I regretted saying that sentence from the start because I was having to use my mathematical brain, which isn't my strongest attribute.
Yes.
Colin Warwick, today's driver in focus, will have a chat to him in the break.
Excited.
He goes 5th. He's already 5th, and he stays 5th. How excited are you for that, Madbird?
I'm incredibly excited. He's an interesting bloke.
Yeah, well,
he certainly was that day. Anyway.
We've detailed a fair bit of your encounter with Colin Warwick at the Bathurst 12 hour.
Encounter really is the best word for it.
Well, yeah, it probably didn't do either of you justice. Probably more so him, as he was not fully clothed.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot day.
Much like most of 2020 without pants, you know, this whole sort of Zoom meeting culture that we have now really means that the upper half is the only bit that needs to be dressed.
Yeah, just why even bother with pants anymore? Unless, unfortunately, you have to go into work. Oh, well, not unfortunately, but sorry, continue.
Kurt Stenberg misses out on improving by just under a tenth of a second.
Zach Baker hopped up into third place while we weren't looking.
He did. Zach Baker and his teammate David Nenovich have, I think, probably underperformed a little bit compared to what we were used to seeing from them in most of last year, and they've come back. Having said that, we've got a bit of a reduced field this year, which is a bit this round, which is a bit disappointing. Only 14 runners so far, so we'll be hoping to bolster that a little bit. It's been a couple of weeks now. Hopefully they haven't all dropped off the perch because, you know, of the Rona.
It is luckily quite a short track, so it'll look busy.
It still looks busy, yeah.
Even if we don't have the numbers from last round.
Well, speaking of numbers, Luke Rosella was a debutant 2 rounds ago in the Simmons Plains race and impressed on debut and impressed again in Pukekohe. Actually was a source of immense frustration for a few of the drivers. They couldn't get past him for quite a number of laps, and Luke Rosella absolutely holding his own today in 7th place and 2/10 up, looking like he may well improve, and that could vault him well up the standings if he continues on with this lap.
Yeah, it's quite close. So you've got 1 second covering 1st through to 9th, which is quite something.
I think he's got a track cut there.
Yeah,
his lap didn't register.
Like.
That's a shame.
Frustrating, yeah.
Hugely frustrating.
For him.
For him, yeah. Not for all of the drivers that he was about to usurp.
Who else we got? We've got Thomas McMillan down in 8th place. I would expect to see him climbing up.
Last round winner.
Yeah, winner last round. We were all quite impressed with his racecraft against Shaun Allan. They were neck and neck for, I reckon, probably the last 15 laps of that second race at Pukekohe.
At least, if not more.
It was it succeeded in giving me a minor coronary, but regardless, it was entertaining. Pleb.
Well, he said himself he wants to represent Pleb Sim Sports at the highest he can, and he did that in Pukekohe. Took a few rounds to mature, much like the beverage which is on the side of his car.
Leave it out in the sun a bit and it improves.
Well, you can't make it worse.
No.
Lewis Kugley, if you're watching, that's a little bit of trigger bait for you. Is that a term? Trigger bait?
Trigger bait?
No, I don't know.
That's a little bit of bait.
Who else is on track? Thomas McMillan has just gone into the pits, so Kurt Stenberg appears to be about to start a new run. Just on an outlap at the current moment, but Dayne Warren doesn't really look like he's going to get troubled by anyone. Shaun Allan still in second, 0.3 of a second behind, and Zach Baker in third. So who is out of place? Just looking at the timing screens, maybe Thomas McMillan. He's usually a bit further up. We just talked about him.
Yeah, I reckon he should be a little bit further up. Brody Steen maybe, although he usually takes benefit of other drivers' issues during the race itself to get some decent results. He doesn't usually qualify too well.
Need a few tips from his teammate in Shaun Allan, I think.
Yeah.
Because he goes very well around the circuit, as can be evidenced. He's just improved, actually, Shaun Allan. Out of sight to us, but he's gone within 2/10 now of Dayne Warren.
Which is actually, that's quite an effort, actually, to be that close to Dayne Warren. So we could be in for a race here, which of course we hope we are.
Thomas McMillan and Dayne Warren have just taken to the track for potentially their last run in this qualifying session.
Although we've got 4 minutes remaining and the lap is under a minute, so...
That's true. That is true. Well, I said potentially.
It's quite difficult to adapt to a track this short because you get excited too early a little bit. You think, oh, you know, they've only got about a lap left in it, and then you realise, oh wait, probably about 4.
Well, while we wait for them to set this qualifying session on fire, we'll draw attention to a driver who's just coming into the pits. Hayden Kruger, Luke Rosella's teammate. That's the other AAR Mustang. And he's another driver who made his debut a couple of rounds ago. And good to see these guys staying with the series. We want to continue to grow the series, the number of drivers. If you are watching and you want to get in there is a sign-up sheet on the website, asc.rocksolidmates.com.
Absolutely.
And they'll be more than happy to have you in this series. There you go, Hayden Kruger about to come back out onto the track. Meanwhile, Kurt Stenberg is up by about just under 1/10 of a second, and that's going to put him up into third place.
That's just how tight it is at the top of this qualifying board as he crosses the line, and he does indeed jump up to third place. Gained about a tenth in that last corner. Ended up being 1.5 or 1.5 tenths up on his best time.
Dayne Warren's not up on his best time. He's nearly 2 tenths down coming through the final corner, and Thomas McMillan behind him. We'll see if he's been able to improve, and it doesn't look like he's managed to do so on that lap. He's still in 8th place is Thomas McMillan, so they'll go around again and have another crack at it. So Kurt Stenberg happy with that lap. Demotes Zach Baker to 4th place, but I think 4th place is still a decent position if he can manage to stay there for Zach Baker.
Absolutely.
This is tight for Dayne Warren.
Yeah, he's a very consistent driver in his ability to set a bar and then hit around or on that bar, although he's definitely not going to hit around or on that bar this lap with that little excursion on the grass. He didn't lose that much time actually.
So last year's record, 52.991. We're used to him obliterating these records by 3 or 4 tenths of a second. He's only half a tenth less than that, maybe 200ths of a second, ahead of the lap set by Jake Maloney last year. So
it is quite a short lap.
It is, but we're used to these sorts of margins even despite short laps like Simmons Plain.
That's true.
Pukekohe Park. So I'm not saying pull your finger out, Dayne Warren, but been busy, Dayne Warren, engineering in the V8 Supercars E Series for Andretti United.
Absolutely,
I'm sure Andretti.
Be very interesting. I'm sure he put Lando Norris in the box.
I'm going to put you in the box. Dayne Warren, he's up here by 5 thousandths of a second into the final corner, so I've told him to pull his finger out. Looked like a little bit of a messy final corner, but we'll see. The timing screen never lies, and he finds 2 thousandths. These are very, very tight margins. Dayne Warren must be very, very close to what's possible.
He must be. It is, at a certain point, you've wrung everything there is to wring out of a lap, and I reckon Dayne Warren is, if he hasn't reached that point, he's very swiftly approaching it. He's just coming up to the first sector split here, and it looks like he's about exactly as he was last lap, actually. About 200 down. Thomas McMillan obviously has put the cue in the rack.
Yeah, and he hasn't really done a lap. He's only managed a 53.668, which is good enough only for 8th place. And that's a bit of a surprise. Our last round winner is not going to be starting any higher than 8th place in this race.
No, absolutely not. Shaun Allan seems to have figured he's not going to improve from where he is currently.
Dayne Warren's about to exit out too.
In the pits. Kurt Stenberg's continuing around, so on the off chance that he manages to nick that 2nd place, which he isn't going to this lap, but
and that's it.
Now
time has hit 0.
Time has hit 0.
I don't know if he got across the line in time. I don't think he did to set a lap. Yeah, it says on the timing screen he's finished, and the only 2 cars left on track, Luke Rosella and Colin Warwick. There is a third, his father Steve Warwick, but we'll see if we can find them. I don't think they're on a quick lap right now. Yeah, Luke Rosella's coming into the pits, and that is qualifying, Madbird.
Absolutely. So Dayne Warren takes out yet another pole position. When are we going to find a track that this man does not dominate at? Although Shaun Allan within a 10th and a half of him, so definitely not stretched out in front like we've seen him at some of the racetracks we've been to. Colin Warwick a respectable 3rd place start, and Zach Baker up in 4th place. So that's 2nd row of the grid is probably higher than he's been this season. So very well done to him.
We've got 3 wildcards in from Super 2 last night. RSM Latino, who currently leads the Super 2 Championship. Steve Warwick and Jay Borg, who didn't actually set a lap in qualifying, but he is our 14th runner. And they had a longer race last night in the Super 2 Championship, a 35-lap race. And we've actually got... I was going to I was going to go through the results again, but there's no need because we did that at the top of the show. But what I will do, instead of showing you that again, is remind you what happened in last round's championship race in the main game, and it was Dayne Warren who won the first race from Brodie Kostecki, the wild card, in second place. Shaun Allan right behind him in third place.
Gosh, that was close.
That was Thomas McMillan in fourth, and Luke Rosella in a strong fifth place finish ahead of Kurt Stenberg. Colin Warwick finished seventh. Brodie Steen in eighth place in a tight battle with David Nenadich and Hayden Kruger, who all finished within the same tenth of a second. And then Mad Bird in race 2, that was a hell of a race.
Absolutely. So Thomas McMillan and Shaun Allan, you can see there with the gap, 0.4 of a second as they cross the line. That is about the tail of it for about the last half of the race. It was neck and neck between them. Kurt Stenberg with a solid podium finish. Luke Rosella, another decent finish, up in fourth place. Zach Baker in fifth. Brodie Steen in sixth with David Nedich right on his heels. Hayden Kruger, Alex Cattle and Matt Devine rounding out the top 10 for race 2. But it was all about those first two cars.
Absolutely. It was, you don't get many opportunities when Dayne Warren puts it off. It's a rare thing, but he still stays at the top of the championship with a win in his pocket, and Brodie Steen in second place. Shaun Allan in third place, so that's a good, strong position for the Race on Oz guys to be. Kurt Stenberg's gradually climbing his way back up the championship ladder. Jake Maloney actually drops 3 spots down there, down to 8th place. Zach Baker and Colin Warwick in 5th and 6th. And then further down, we've got Dominic Ferrari's Luke Rosella, after only 2 rounds, is in 12th place, ahead of quite a few other drivers. Alex Cattle, Jay Borg, Aidan Schultz, and then we've got Steve Warwick doing quite well as a Super 2 recruit in 16th place with 285 points. Hayden Kruger, I think I destroyed the spelling of your name, Hayden, so if you're watching, I do apologise there. Endeavour to fix that in rounds to come. And then turning our attention to the team's points classification, Mad Bird.
Yeah, so Race on Oz, as detailed just before, with some very solid points finishes, are currently up in first, about 300 points, 340 points odd ahead of Trans-Tasman Racing. ZB Racing are just behind them, only about 12 points in it. Logitech G Ultra C Sports being propped up almost exclusively by Dayne Warren in 4th place. Stealth Penrite Racing in 5th, Pleb Sim Sport in 6th. Bit of a drop down there to them, and All Australian Racers right behind.
So that brings us to the warm-up session, having completed qualifying, and Dayne Warren keeping his pole dominance intact well and truly. And just a minute to go. We had an unexpected result last round in race 2, but Mad Bird, the sprint race is first up tonight. Can you see Shaun Allan taking it to Dayne Warren, or will it take another mistake from Dayne?
I reckon it will take another mistake, unless if Shaun Allan can get a decent start and get out ahead of him. I think I've said this every race, but I think Dayne Warren struggles a little with following, and that obviously when he's following, it's going to invite more opportunities for mistakes, and all it takes is one mistake for him to be off in the wall or get a drive-through penalty. So that is probably the best hope for Shaun Allan, is to take the lead at the start and hope that Dayne Warren, got his name for a second there.
It's alright. He's only won almost every race of the championship.
Hope he gets swamped with the with 3rd, 4th, and 5th place all over him. But I reckon, I don't want to put it in the book just yet, but I reckon this will be a Dayne Warren win for the first race, and I guess we'll have to see what happens before I predict for the second.
I can see Shaun Allan winning a race though.
Well, last season he won both of them in pretty convincing fashion, so he clearly knows his way around here. And I did see Dayne Warren having a couple of messy corners during practice, so he's obviously, and we saw obviously last round he made some errors which cost him the second race. So he is human, he is capable of making mistakes, as fast as he may be. So all it takes is a mistake or two for Shaun Allan to capitalise on, and the win might be his.
So for the viewers who weren't with us for the previous round of the championship, Dayne Warren got a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, and then when he went to take that, he actually, he wasn't when he took the penalty, it was when he pitted later on in the race. he actually copped another penalty, and I believe that was for speeding in the pit lane.
Yep.
So they tend to compound when the mistakes start for Dayne Warren. He usually has so much of a buffer that he doesn't really need to push that hard, but he was certainly pushing to find his way back up the order, and it was in doing that that he invited the door, or he opened the door, I should say, for more mistakes to occur.
Yeah, I think you put the pressure on yourself a little bit. Put the moz on yourself is the term, and it makes it very easy to make further errors.
Race 1 about to get underway, so let's have a little bit of a refresher of this racetrack here. Barbagallo, 25 laps, a 60-kilometre race, no pit stop required for this first race. And here is the racetrack, a nice little bull ring under cover of darkness. 3.5 litres per lap, that is the fuel economy, but won't really play into anyone's strategy in the first race, as they can do the entire thing on one stop. And the track record from last year's race was a 53.188. We're seeing quite a similar pace from the drivers this year. Shaun Allan, victorious on both counts last race, and they're gridded up, almost ready to get going in this Supercars race.
Absolutely. And it's quite a short warm-up lap stairs, so I'm gonna leave you to it.
So Dayne Warren leads the way, and he leads off from pole position ahead of Shaun Allan in second place. Kurt Stenberg in third place behind him. Then it's Zach Baker in fourth place. Good qualifying result from him. Luke Rosella, another strong performance from him, qualifying up in fifth place ahead of Colin Warwick. Then it's David Nenadich in seventh ahead of Thomas McMillan, last race winner in the ASC. And then behind him it's Brodie Steed in ninth place. Alex Cattle in 10th place from him. Hayden Kruger behind him in 11th place. RSM Latino, the cool. What's happened to Thomas McMillan? He's stopped on the side of the racetrack. I'm not sure why.
Hope he can get going again. That's a concern.
We'll revisit that. RSM Latino, championship leader for Super 2 in 12th place, ahead of Steve Warwick, fellow Super 2 driver, and Jay Borg, another Stealth Sim Force Super 2 driver. And I'm just going to see on the other screen if I can catch up with what has happened to our good friend Thomas McMillan. Looks like he's running.
He's moving, so he will be able to complete the warm-up lap. Oh, if Steve Warwick doesn't swerve into him.
Trying to warm his tyres, and Thomas McMillan is just trying to get back into position. So that's a bit strange, isn't it?
It's a little bit strange, but you know, he's gotten there by the looks of it. He seems to be lining up, so I think we are all good in the hood, as they say in, I'm sure, some place.
Someplace. Somewhere.
I'm sure someone says it.
I'm sure they do. So there's a quiet now over the racetrack, and we're about to get racing here at Barbagallo. Someone in the back of shot, just on our other monitor, hasn't lined up properly. It's one of the RSM cars.
There's RSM Latino. He actually reversed into Jay Ball. Hopefully no damage there.
Alright, lights are on. Lights are off, and we are racing here in Barbagallo Raceway with Shaun Allan trying to go around the outside of Dayne Warren, and almost does it. Let's see who pops out the other side in the lead. It's going to be Dayne Warren. A great start, though, by Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg, holding on to third place ahead of Zach Baker, top four as they started.
Yeah, that was ambitious by Shaun Allan, but if he'd had a bit of a better run, I reckon he would have had it. Just that little bit of extra grip on the inside was all the benefit that Dayne Warren needed to hang on to it. But now you can already see the gap that he has built to Shaun Allan he's got about 3-4 car lengths, and it's only been 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's what we're used to seeing from Dayne Warren as we come down to the final corner to complete the first lap, and word coming through on the ground from Wayne Carr that Thomas McMillan had no force feedback and had to reset his wheel. That's what I thought might have been the case. He's actually lost a position off the start. He's down into 9th place from where he started in 8th place. Now, apologies if you're getting some stuttering. We're just having some technical issues on our side, which we've never seen before. So, unfortunately, we'll try and push through and get this sorted for the next race. We'll try and get through this race with the stuttering as it is.
Good thing it's a short race, Des.
Alex Cattle already DNF, so we're down one car already.
Yeah, I'll see if I can see what happened to him. That's a shame. Just to state the obvious there.
It's certainly a shame for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Thomas McMillan's wheel is completely fixed. He looks like he's a little bit... Oh, that was a hefty accident that he had coming through the bowl. Just oversteered and slammed directly into the wall. So that would be why he lost a wheel. Not what you want to do.
That's Alex Cattle we're talking about.
That's Alex Cattle, yes. Do apologise.
So not good start for the Race on Oz drivers.
No, although Shaun Allan is continuing to maintain that second place, but dropping rapidly away. Oh, as we've got Luke Rosella, looks like.
Oh, and he was
entering the infield.
Yeah, what's going on there? So he was ahead of these guys, and that means Thomas McMillan has now up a spot, but he's under pressure from Luke Rosella's teammate Hayden Kruger, and there's a bit of a battle pack up ahead of those guys. And in that battle pack, we've got Brody Steen, Zach Baker putting Colin Warwick under pressure.
Dave Nedidich, sorry.
Beg your pardon, Zach Baker's well up the road, and now it's a 4-5 for Zach Baker Racing with Dave Nedidich. Makes the position on Colin Warwick.
That's what they want to see. They were sort of the Race on Oz sort of took their place as the perennial 3rd, 4th, and 5th place getters.
As you said that, Zach Baker's put it off at the final corner, completely on his own. So presumably an unforced error there. Yeah,
at the moment that I've given them the wrap up, it's come undone for Zach Baker. So do apologise there. That is the commentator's curse in action.
It's dropped down to 7th place.
It's a damn shame.
And try and catch a replay. We're looking at the wrong screen. There's a replay of Zach Baker. Sorry about the stuttering. It looks like it's going to persist, unfortunately. He's already had the incident at that part, so we'll have to roll back to where it did occur. And it looks like he just must have locked up. Trying to see if I can see any tyre smoke into there. I think he might have just... it's the curb glitch.
That is the curb glitch. We were assured that it was fixed. Doesn't look as if it has been. That is... Yeah, it just... I remember that happening last season as well. It just sort of locks their steering. They can't turn. And they just usually sail directly off and into the runoff area. So he's not going to be particularly happy with that. No, not really any fault of the people dealing with the track. I think it's one of those little gremlins that just doesn't want to go away.
Well, he's lost further positions. He's down in 12th now.
Oh, so he's not having a good run. Shaun Allan, sorry to cut across you, is currently under a lot of pressure from Kurt Stenberg. All over the back of him going into turn 6, the bowl. And he was all over him through the first sector of the track. And he's going to get a drag all the way down this back straight, although he had a very messy exit of turn 6. So that might have given Shaun Allan just a little bit of breathing space. And he's, Kurt Stenberg well off and into the runoff area there, which we are not meant to be using. So,
well, he would know. He's one of the admins.
So he may have to penalise himself, which would be a little bit embarrassing. Let's hope not. But yeah, he's latched onto the back of Shaun Allan here. You can see Dayne Warren there. He's not really sailed off into the distance so much. It's only about a 2-second gap, although 2 seconds around here is probably quite a big lead to have built over about 5 minutes. But he is managing to hang on to the back of Shaun Allan, and Shaun Allan getting a little bit leery through that bowl corner, but then so did Kurt Stenberg. So it's kind of ended up a 0-all draw on this particular lap.
I can see this battle continuing on for the entire race though, Madbird. It's Shaun Allan is obviously very happy with this circuit. He's a double race winner as a fastest lap gets put in by Dayne Warren. Very, very close now to that lap record for the race that Jake Maloney set, which was a 53.188. But to continue what I was saying there, Shaun Allan, of course, looking to defend his honour from last year's Barbagallo race. Kurt Stenberg, the proud Western Australian, looking to defend his honour by winning or at least finishing ahead of as many drivers as he can on home soil.
Got Thomas McMillan DNF from the race, I believe.
Oh no.
That would have maybe been as a result of his wheel not acting as he would have probably been hoping it would.
That's a shame. It's a real game of snakes and ladders this year for Thomas McMillan.
It is. He's been a bit up and down, to put it lightly.
Just call him Yo-Yo.
Just call him Yo-Yo.
So 2.1 seconds now is the advantage Dayne Warren has over this second place battle between Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg. And David Nenadic behind them, quite a fair old margin, and might be starting to come under pressure from Colin Warwick soon. Although not based on their last lap times, it was David Nenadic slightly faster on the previous occasion. You'll probably see them in the back of shot. No, you won't, I'll lie.
Colin Warwick coming under a bit of pressure actually from Brodie Steen, who is only a couple of tenths of a second behind him. So Race on Oz now are looking like a decent points finish for the both of them if it remains as it is, or if Brodie Steen in fact does overtake Colin Warwick, with Zach Baker having that last corner glitch.
This is tight into the final corner for Kurt Stenberg.
That was about as close as you can get without touching, I think, Stairs. You could have fit a cigarette paper between those two cars.
Not wrong. And Shaun Allan is known for braking late. Kurt Stenberg braking even earlier than that.
The last of the two late breakers in that particular instance, apparently.
Now the battle between Brodie Steen and Colin Warwick, I guess that just highlights what we were talking about with the Race on Oz driver of Brodie Steen. 3 positions up from where he started. He wasn't really anywhere in qualifying, but he looks set to get a good position in the race itself.
Yeah, absolutely. He would have gained one of those from Thomas McMillan, obviously, but the other two he's gained through just people dropping past him. He seems to just gain positions and end up at the pointy end regardless of where he starts the race. Brodie Steen, very consistent.
So it looks like we're not the only ones having frame drop issues during our broadcast. Thomas McMillan said, I dropped below 25 frames per second and couldn't drive with it. I'm not surprised. 25 frames per second isn't really
Quite
enough
low
to be competitive around anywhere, really, much less a small little bull ring like this. Now, we're looking at a different battle to what I thought we were. So Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg still pretty much out on their own. Behind Brodie Steen, it's Hayden Kruger, who is looming in the background, leading his AAR teammate in Luke Rosella down there in 7th and 8th place. Catching up to the back of this train.
Again, Colin Warwick is just sort of stretched out a little bit of breathing space between himself and Brodie Steen. About 1.1 seconds as they're exiting turn 6. And Brodie Steen had a big heckin' moment there, which would have cost him some time as well. Not as much as I would expect, to be honest, but he still has not closed the gap to Colin Warwick this particular lap. So at the front, we've still got Dayne Warren, now with a 2.3 second lead. Let's have a little stock take. We love doing them. Over Shaun Allan in 2nd place, right where he started. And right where he started is Kurt Stenberg, right behind him. About half a second separating those two. And further back, up 3 positions from where he started, we've got David Nenadic, taking the 4th position that was his teammate Zach Baker's at the start of the race. He's about 8 seconds shy of 3rd place, but about 1.5 seconds the better of 5th place, which is Colin Warwick. And then we've got Brodie Steen behind him, slowly eking that gap back down. And behind him, Hayden Kruger, who's actually getting quite close to Brodie Steen, so that is going to be a tasty little battle to keep an eye on. Luke Rosella in that beautiful Tamiya liveried Mustang, taking up 8th place. Zach Baker looks like he's just overtaken Jay Borg through the last corner there.
On the recovery drive?
On the recovery, yeah, from that last corner glitch. Jay Borg, as I said, in 10th. RSM Latino in 11th after getting the call up from Super 2. And Steve Warwick, father of the mended-footed Colin Warwick, in 12th place. DNF, we got Thomas McMillan and Alex Cattle.
Yeah, so still just the 2. Thomas McMillan on lap number 2 and Alex Cattle on the opening lap. So Anzac Kid saying, does anyone know what happened to Ethan Warren? I haven't seen him since the first round, unfortunately. If you're watching Ethan,
just hasn't rocked up.
Do join us. Dayne Warren flying the flag for Logitech G Altus Esports all by himself, and has to be said,
doing a decent job of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's sitting in 4th in the teams championship basically by himself, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, that is no mean feat. Shaun Allan seems to have stretched away just a little bit on the last lap or two from Kurt Stenberg.
He's just cool under pressure, Shaun Allan. He hasn't been for the season so far, but last round he was very, very cool and collected in his battle with Thomas McMillan. It was odds on him or Thomas McMillan. You couldn't split who was going to win that race, and he's showing his nous now by defending calmly from the previous season champion Kurt Stenberg, and that number 1 in Kurt Stenberg's window is not paying off for him.
No, he said himself that it's been unlucky for him in the past, and it proved so in the opening round when he couldn't even compete because of a storm, which put his power out. Another battle going on right here is between Hayden Kruger, who's leading his teammate Luke Rosella.
Inter-team battle.
7th place. Intra-team battle, yes. It's usually Luke Rosella ahead, but he's come across somewhere. He qualified well, but has fallen back somewhere. We didn't see that. It's actually... he's taken a completely different line from Hayden Kruger there.
I reckon that was a mistake from Hayden that he recovered but had to take the inside line because his teammate was already up alongside him, and trying to get the slipstream down this back straight, and why the hell not?
Yeah, they're not helping each other. I think Hayden Kruger is very eager to hold on to that position from Luke Rosella.
Whoop. And Luke Rosella is...
He's bowled a wide down at the final corner.
I wonder if the same thing has happened to him that happened to Zach Baker.
Hey, well...
And what's happened at the lead? So Dayne Warren is now right back amongst it.
What on earth?
I was staring at that on our third monitor, and was passively realising it, but didn't realise the import of it until just this moment.
Well, it's certainly important. Let's see if we can catch a replay. It's already happened at that point, so I'm going to hazard a guess that it may well be that curb glitch.
Very possibly. It looks like that's exactly where it's happened.
Oh.
So it actually spun his car.
Round like a top.
Round like a top.
So
it's been right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby.
So they didn't fix the issue, and unfortunately, it's claimed another victim. Dayne Warren's race lead.
Actually, very close to losing the lead there.
Yeah, it was very, very nearly in jeopardy there. Well, it was in jeopardy. The fact that he's managed to hold on to it speaks volumes of the lead that he'd built up already.
I think it's thrown him a little bit as well, because Shaun Allan is all over the back of him. He's had a very messy couple of corners there. And Kurt Stenberg is buying into this as well. Going to try to go around the outside of Shaun Allan at turn 6. I don't think that's ever going to work. He seems to be hanging in there. He's going to get an amazing run down this back straight. They're not helping each other with their quest to have Dayne Warren not win another race, as they're almost going 3 wide. Kurt Stenberg right up the back of Shaun Allan. I reckon there might have been a little bit of a tap there, but nothing too bad. And ding ding, battle resumes.
Ethan Warren watching along says hello. And Thomas McMillan has a good point. Dayne has no tyres from that spin. And that means that it's taken him a little while to get them back into a working operating temperature. Although he may have been given a little bit of a freebie with Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg fighting each other over the last lap. See if Dayne can get his tyres back.
We've got about 8 laps to go, so we're probably looking at about 7 minutes, 6.5 minutes left in this race. Very different lines there, and look how close Kurt Stenberg is to the back of that car. That's a fantastic shot. As Shaun Allan has a little bit of a wiggle, and that's enough to get Kurt Stenberg up alongside. So they are going to be side by side all the way down. Never mind, Kurt Stenberg pulls in behind, but pulls back out again.
He's going in for it, the last corner, and he's going to be very close to that very dangerous curb.
Ooh, that was very close. I thought Shaun Allan was going to get pit maneuvered there, but Kurt Stenberg wisely and skillfully was able to get out of it just enough. Although they're really not helping each other here. Dayne Warren limping on probably overheating tyres is gonna limp away indeed.
Fastest limp you've ever seen.
As they're all over the back of each other. I mean, I guess, second place looks better to Kurt Stenberg than third place currently, but I reckon first place would look better for both of them.
Yeah, I think they may have let that one slip though. Dayne Warren now with nearly a second in his pocket.
I reckon they had their chance.
I think they blew it. But I think if you asked either of them what they were fighting over at the start of this race, they probably would have told you second was more likely.
just half a second more in that spin with Dayne Warren, and Shaun Allan would have taken that lead, I reckon, because they were side by side going through the first corner. I guess no point thinking about what might have been when what we've currently got is Dayne Warren with a lead of 7/10 over Shaun Allan, who has got a lead of negligible over Kurt Stenberg.
Negligible. Very good. They're not socially... Oh! Backs it in to the bowl, does Kurt Stenberg. That was skillfully done.
Backs it into the bowl.
He's gonna have some pretty hot rear tyres himself very shortly indeed.
Backs it into the bowl like someone not realising they've left their Fruit Loops on the counter, and they sit back on the counter and then shove the bowl of Fruit Loops to the floor.
Would have thought a toilet bowl would be more appropriate in this situation, but nonetheless, you've made that analogy.
I've got a lot of experience with that lately, as Shaun Allan looked like he got a little bit out there in the first corner, but he's all good.
Speaking of out there, well, maybe I won't ask. How's your health, mate? You good?
Oh, it's you know, serviceable.
All right. Oh, Kurt Stenberg's off! He's off! And that's it! That's it for second place. It's Shaun Allan who's going to take second place. Kurt Stenberg may well drop further down the field.
No,
he's recovered it.
Big buffer to David Nedidich. He's still got about 6 seconds in hand, so that is... Oh, although... Never mind, I'm seeing him drop down to 6th place, of 7th place, 8th place, so it's possible that when he's gone off, he went very far off the track. He might have missed a marshal post, which in Automobilista means that you register as not having actually completed that section of the track.
Remember when we said that number 1 wasn't really working out for him luck-wise?
Yeah, so he's currently showing us 12th place, a lap down on the leaders, so that might very well be that something that our friend Wayne Carr can fix. Get a lap added to his tally, because that is obviously what has happened.
Here's the replay of the spin. It's coming up the hill, and...
Yeah, he's gone so far. I reckon he's gone past a marshal post, or whatever Automobilista calls it.
That's really poor track design if that's far enough off the racetrack to miss a checkpoint.
I seem to remember in a particular ARW race, I rage quit after the same thing happened to me, and I think I had an even less Larry off-track excursion. So these track makers aren't infallible, as the last corner obviously shows. But we can hope that they're able to add a lap to his tally, and bump him back up into that 3rd place.
Yeah, that is really, really.
Or otherwise, possibly even if he just finishes in 12th place, but we count him as being in 3rd, since he clearly is in every universe but the one that the game is occupying.
Well, that's all temporary now, but unofficially he's in. Well, officially he's in 12th place. Unofficially, still circulating in 3rd place, because he had about a 5-second buffer ahead of David Nedidich. So, it's fixed itself there. 3rd place. So it's either fixed itself, or I would say more likely, the live steward in Chris Carr, who saves a lot of these races from being complete farces.
Remember Bathurst 1000?
Yeah.
Oh.
He is the remedy that Automobilista needs.
He is the hero that we need, but not the one that we deserve. As I thought Shaun Allan was in a tasty battle there for a second, but he has actually just lapped, I believe that is Steve Warwick. It is indeed. So Shaun Allan now in a very lonely position, 2 seconds ahead of Kurt Stenberg, and only 2 seconds? No, 2 seconds behind Dayne Warren, sorry.
Yes.
And 7 seconds ahead of Kurt Stenberg. That sounds more like it. As we've got 2 laps left to run.
So the sprint race approaches its finish. My housemates are apparently tenderising meat for 35 minutes.
I was wondering what that noise was. Good stuff.
So, driver of the race has to be Dayne Warren. The one mistake that he's made really wasn't his fault.
Yeah. He's just I feel like we need a championship like that doesn't include Dayne Warren.
Well, it's currently being led by Brodie Steen if you take Dayne Warren out of the results.
That's very true. Yeah. Without I don't think Brodie Steen's even got a podium this season. Oh no, he must
I think he had some early on in the championship.
But regardless, he's just always been banking solid points.
I did print them but I've left them over there.
Yeah, they're quite far away.
Out of arm's reach,
I can see a bunch of maps of other tracks as well.
Well, they're the circuits to come. Winton next.
I see Winton. It's an odd-looking track, isn't it?
It's a technical circuit.
Looks like a gun, sort of, if you look at it sideways.
What are you looking at? I think you're looking at...
Winton.
I think you're looking at Hidden Valley, aren't you?
No, bottom left.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at it on your side,
okay,
you hold it like that. It's, a very odd looking gun, I grant you. But
the magazine is an odd shape.
Yes. Or maybe that's like that's the opening that you put the magazine into.
It's the final lap.
It is. Dayne Warren with a 2-second lead.
And then I guess the closest battle on track would be the one between David Nedidich and Colin Warwick. So here it is. It's not actually that close, but just to get a bit of a visual idea before we see Dayne Warren cross the line. Colin Warwick has been closing in on Dayne Warren on David Nedidich. I'm sure he'd love to be able to say that he was closing in on Dayne Warren, but it has not been the case. It's been Dayne Warren, apart from one little minor scare at this very corner a few laps ago. He's going to come across the line, gets it lit up over the curb, but he had it under control. We didn't know if he did. We thought for a moment he'd spit it into the concrete, but he comes across the line to take victory from Shaun Allan by 2.3 seconds. And then Kurt Stenberg will finish in third place, despite a bit of a scare going a lap down after, we believe, missing a checkpoint on the racetrack, which was then fixed by the live steward. We suspect David Nedidich will finish in fourth place, holding off Colin Warwick, hard charging at the end, and Brodie Steen in sixth place.
I thought, for all the world stares, I thought when you were saying, except for one minor scare at this very corner, I was expecting the exact same thing to happen again.
It was two minor scares.
But indeed, flawless drive from Dayne Warren, other than that issue that was not his own fault. As normal, apart from last round, where he had one minor blip on major blip on the radar. But still, it is only one blip. Apart from in round one. So he continues his very, very, very solid run of form. And Shaun Allan continues the run of form that he started last round after a very belated start to his season from a decent finisher's perspective.
And Shaun Allan's record at this racetrack in this championship now is first, and second.
That's probably one of the better records any of our drivers have at. Sorry about that. Any of our tracks.
That's pretty good.
I don't think anyone else has been that dominant at a particular track. We'll have to hope. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that continues in the second race.
All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break now. We're just going to pause the live stream for a few moments to try and resolve the issues with the encoder overloading, which is causing the frame rate issues. So we should come back on the same link, but if we don't, do check out the ASC YouTube channel for a second link in case that occurs. So we'll be right back. This week's driver in focus is Colin Warwick. Along with Kurt Stenberg and Chris Carr, Colin is one of the admins of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. So how did Colin find the difficult task of helping to organise the Automobilista Supercars Championship in 2019?
Oh, it was good. We had our ups and downs. I mean, the start of the year with the server issues, that stuff just around a bit. And then once we split it up into main and Super 2, then it went pretty good. Smooth sailing from there. Enjoyable. Yeah, very.
Consistent points finishes and a couple of podiums in 2019 helped Colin to finish 7th in last year's championship. But was he happy with the year's results?
Oh, I was, but I'm getting all new sim gear and upgrading from Logitech to Fanatec.
Last year, Colin dealt with some equipment failures that slowed him down in a few races, most notably the Bathurst 1000, where he teamed up with Ethan Warren.
Teaming up again this year? Yeah, we just confirmed that yesterday.
And what does Colin want out of 2020?
A lot more podiums would be nice. I only got 2 or 3 last year, so just try and be at the front more.
Finally, what is Colin's message to potential new drivers this year?
It'd be good if everyone could turn up and have a go. We're always looking for more drivers. Come and have a go. Website, Facebook, just send us a message.
All the information you want about the Automobilista Supercars Championship is now all in one place. Visit asc.rocksolidmates.com for all the official ASC content, including season calendars, results and championship points, broadcast information, rules and regulations, lap records, and more. You can also get updates on our official ASC Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification icon to get notified whenever we go live for all championship races.
The Automobilista Supercars Championship is proudly brought to you by RSM, Rock Solid Mates, ARW, Apex Rear Wing, CW, Colin Warwick Designs, and Jinx Shifters.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Well, what did you think of that race, Madbird? Madbird? Apparently, you've got two names now.
We're repeating ourselves a lot. That was a solid race. Decent battling there between Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg. Dayne Warren pretty much unsided out the front, as we have come to expect for the most part.
At least till that spin.
Yeah. Unfortunate that issue is clearly not been fixed. It's probably one of those tricky ones that it's gonna be one of those gremlins that's impossible to get rid of, I reckon. But
well, they know about it now, at least.
Yeah, so drive wide of the last corner, clearly.
Yeah, so Luke Rosella came a cropper from that when he was putting his teammate under pressure early on in the race. He ended up finishing about a tenth of a second behind Hayden Kruger. So good job to Hayden Kruger for keeping Luke Rosella behind, but Luke probably would feel like he might have had a few more opportunities to attack his teammate had that curb glitch not happened to him.
Yeah, very possibly. It's one of those odd things. I'm not even sure what the issue is, if there's just a gap in the geometry there where the car... Because it behaves oddly. It's not just that the car flips, although we saw that it span around in a circle for Dayne Warren. But for Kurt Stenberg, we saw it just kind of, and for Zach Baker, it just sort of locks your steering and you can't move at all. And you just soar off and into the runoff area. So it's a shame, but as you say, they know about it. So just be careful on the curb on the last corner. You obviously can't make the most of the track as you would like to, but it's the same for everybody. So just be careful.
If only they'd put as much effort into the curb on the inside of the final corner as they did on the textures of the marquees in the paddock there. That's just splendid.
That's pretty good.
Detail.
That's quite good.
Yeah. Just the one car on track at the moment.
And on the pit building, you've got the fantastic banner there that just says Perth, 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 Perth.
Well, you wouldn't want to forget where you are. The most isolated capital city in the world.
I was about to say, if you live in Perth, you probably would want to forget where you are.
I think Kurt Stenberg might have a word or two to say about that.
He might do,
yeah.
But we're the ones with no actual.
Just say it
COVID
at
cases,
7 o'clock in the morning in Eastern time.
I do remember when they were they very helpfully were hosting the server for the Apex Rear Wing 3 hours of Suzuka. He gave me the admin rights and such to reset the server in the morning, because he said, I'm sure as fuck not going to be open at... I'm sure as buggery not going to be awake at 7:30 AM your time, because that would be about 4 AM his time.
Did you just drop an F-bomb?
I did, but then I covered it up brilliantly.
I've just realised that the live chat wasn't updating, and I've just seen a few messages in response to what we've just been talking about, mainly from Kurt Stenberg. One such comment, which I can't remember the context for, says, I have no talent. And then a little bit of an update on the curb glitch issue. Wayne Carr clarifying they tried to fix the last corner glitch, but it looks like they didn't get it 100%. At least it doesn't roll the car as bad as last year. So it could have been a lot worse for Dayne Warren and Luke Rosella. And we didn't see if anyone else came a cropper, but those are just the two that we caught. And then Kurt Stenberg says, Perth in capital letters.
And then I'm a proud Western Australian.
Cybanya says 7 AM here. And then Kurt Stenberg says something that isn't true. Don't think we need to.
Proud Western Australian there, proud South Australians here.
Mighty South Aussies, yeah. So,
Come on, South.
qualifying
Come on.
for race 2 is about to get underway. So let's just remind you of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's not very long. It's much like my 2.41 kilometers.
Does it move around like that?
No, but it's kind of a similar shape.
See.
Turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 climbing up and turning left and right in various iterations.
As most racetracks do.
And then there's a turn 5, which is definitely a right-hand turn, and then there's a bit of a straight bit, and then turn 6, which is a downward sloping right bit, and then there's a long straight bit, which you can't see it there, but it actually goes down quite a bit at the end, and then a very tight right bit, which is called turn 7, and that's the end of Barbagallo Raceway.
Sure is. And as you can see from the graphic there, Shaun Allan actually grabbed the pole position in the second race last year, so he got better as the night wore on in 2019.
He was only a 10th and a half down on Dayne Warren during the first qualifying session, so it's not outside the realm of possibility for him to take pole position away from Dayne Warren. Although you would have to say, based on Dayne Warren's, Colin Warwick has a little bit of a... he's warming his tyres, let's say.
He's not on a flying lap.
He's not on a flying lap. As Dayne Warren has been on a absolute tear tonight, as he is on most nights.
Yeah.
Didn't jump the start though, so that's definitely an improvement from last week, or last round, sorry.
Man, you hate to be Dayne Warren in the sense that anytime you make a single mistake, it gets scrutinised. Much more than anyone else's mistakes. Thomas McMillan has made so many mistakes that we really pick on the times when he does well, as opposed to Dayne Warren.
We patronise him.
Well, we wax lyrical about
believe-
Thomas McMillan's win last round.
I believe I used the words, I'm proud of him. a adult man, although, whatever he is, 19 years old or something.
Whereas if Dayne Warren makes a mistake, you're just disappointed in him.
Yeah,
because he doesn't make them. So
yeah.
there's a bit of a paradox there. It's kind of like one of my auntie's approach to rearing her children was a bit like that.
I was about to make the comparison of Thomas McMillan is the youngest child who's the baby, and no matter how much he fucks up, how much he messes up.
It's twice in 5 minutes, mate.
I do apologise. No matter how much he messes up, you don't really mind, and then whenever he achieves something, you're all over him like fleas on a donkey. And then Dayne Warren is the just consistently achieving middle child who no one really pays any attention to.
I was going to say maybe the older brother that got into the best university in the country, and then if he gets a B-,
his parents
or an A-.
His parents ask him why he doesn't kill himself.
Meanwhile, the younger brother stops smoking pot for about 3 days, and they think, "Wow, how did you turn your life around?"
You've turned your life around. And that is Thomas McMillan, the man who stopped smoking pot for 3 days, and that was race 2 at Pukekohe.
Hey, that's a good break, 3 days, Allow your brain time to clear up and really enjoy that second round.
That second race.
It's expensive pot.
Pukekohe.
Colin Warwick's doing well.
Qualifying is in fact occurring.
It is.
Zach Baker is currently top of the timesheets.
We've stopped chewing the breeze so much, but yes, I don't know if Zach Baker will be top of the timesheets for too much longer. Well,
never mind.
I wasn't going to say because Dayne Warren is going to take over, but he did.
And then Shaun Allan has taken over from him.
So 53.2. That's a good lap from Shaun Allan, but we saw Dayne Warren go a lot faster than that in the first round. Let's endeavour to find pictures of the people we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Thomas McMillan has had a...
Oh.
he's behind the shed at school.
He's in. He's up amongst the cats in the litter box.
So let's see if we can catch a
Quite
replay.
happy
There
with
he
that.
is going
Whoa.
off backwards.
Where is that? That is first corner. That's an odd place to have that variety of accident.
Yep.
So what has he done? He's lost it as he's been braking.
It's almost like he's still having issues with his rig.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like a normal crash, that.
No, very very odd. But then again, this is he's obviously picked up the picked up the wacky tobacco once again.
He's on an out lap. They could probably get us for libel now. We don't know if he does sample the
Mary Jane.
the cannabinol.
Spoken. The what? Sorry.
The
Spoken for all the world.
THC laden.
Spoken for all the world like two white men who have never smoked marijuana in their lives.
So let's see if he's actually able to get around the track in a decent sort of clip. It seems like he's a little bit.
If he's had to reset his wheel, it very possibly has changed some of its like sensitivities and stuff on him, which is very, very frustrating when it does happen. He's pulled into the pits, so we're not going to see if he's able to.
Well, he's probably into the pits because he's still got problems.
That's very true.
That's not good.
Gonna pull in there and tell the virtual pit crew that aren't there, you know, fix my bloody wheel.
All right, so that lap record we were talking about,
Throw their hands up. Yes.
obliterated.
Ah,
52.769. So that's about a tenth of a second faster than he managed in the first qualifying session of the night. And we were talking about Thomas McMillan. No, there's nothing wrong with talking about that. It was certainly an issue that put him out of the first race. That we are hoping he can remedy for the second race and get one more runner.
if there's one thing you can say about Thomas McMillan, he brings a lot of excitement to the races that he competes in.
He does.
Shaun Allan into the pits. So speaking of into the pits, the longer second race of the night, Stairs, 45 laps.
Yep.
And or 42 laps. Sorry, you or I have erased.
It's a 2.
It's 2.
42 laps.
42 laps. And there will, of course, be a pit stop. So, as we saw last round, pit stops are probably, much like our friend Xeris, pit stops are probably the best opportunity for Dayne Warren to make a mistake.
Yeah. And it's interesting, they normally take that pit stop around about 2/3 of the way into the race. And they tend to start the race with a full tank, full as a fat woman's sock, basically. And then when they get to the point where they need to take their pit stop, they're not actually completely empty, and they do that because they have quite a long pit stop. It takes quite a while to fuel up from full, so it's more advantageous, I think a lot of them have found, to do a little bit of a short fill and top it up at the pit stop, and then they spend less time stationary in the pits.
Makes sense. Certainly does. Got Luke Rosella there, just navigating that last corner nicely. He crosses the line and improves from 13th to 5th. That's a meteoric rise, but I believe he hadn't actually set a banker lap as yet.
Matt Cecil says, Thomas and Ricky Stenhouse are long-lost brothers. Fast, but never leave a boring race.
Yes, indeed. Perhaps they share a toke on the cannabis.
Kurt
from time to
Stenberg's
time.
actually up into second place as you spout utter rubbish.
My goodness. He is indeed. So he's about a tenth the better of Shaun Allan at the moment in second place. So Shaun Allan, we theorised whether he'd be able to take that pole position. God, it's a good looking car. I'm playing it up, alright? Whether he'd be able to take that pole position from Dayne Warren, it appears not at the moment, unless he's able to pull something right out of his posterior cookies. Not sure I trust those cookies.
Don't. Certainly not. Certainly not if you think the first one didn't work.
Yes, don't eat one and then think, well, I can't feel anything. Better eat 4 more, and then wind up on the bathroom floor of a friend of yours.
Not personal experience at all.
Not personal.
Shaun, Zach Baker is having another strong qualifying session, up in 4th place.
That is where he started the first race, until that last corner glitch robbed him of it, and his teammate instead took the 4th place.
In the pits now.
I've always noted Zach Baker has a habit of actually driving into his pit garage. He turns into it, which is
He likes the method.
it's quite nice. Yeah, it's, you know, it brings a bit more realism to it.
I think Thomas McMillan might be able to improve here. He's up by 2/10.
Lovely.
He's not had a great night.
No.
so far.
Nevertheless, he's in the top 10. I believe
Yeah.
9th is where he started from last, or 8th.
Eighth. So he's got to find another 10th of a second or so, half a tenth, to equal what he did in the first round. So, such changing fortunes for Thomas McMillan, the Pukekohe race winner in race 2. And it just doesn't look like his system is agreeing with him. He's just completely out of sorts. He's usually aggressively attacking this entire racetrack. And I don't know, it just doesn't look like it's there for him right now. He has found a 10th on this lap.
Yeah, which, that would put him up into 8th place. He's actually 2 tenths up now, so he's coming good slowly. So he's a dark horse for 7th place at the moment. If he manages to gain another 10th or so through this last sector, it's looked like a clean run for him.
There you go.
So not quite.
Equal with his first race start. And still 4.5 minutes to go, so he's got more opportunities. What can Shaun Allan do? He's been dropped down to 3rd place by Kurt Stenberg. And if it finishes like that, this qualifying session, it would be a tasty little round 2 to their battle in race 1.
It would, if he was then on the attack behind Kurt Stenberg rather than being on the defence for the entire first race. He has gained a 10th so far, and now he's lost it.
Oh yes, he went very, very deep at the bowl.
My goodness.
And did not trouble the apex. Gave it a good old social distance, and didn't. How overused is that joke?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, he'll try again. I will.
I've got to say, all the COVID memes were quite funny.
Until they
for the first week or so. Getting a little bit old now.
Message received.
Oh, this. That wasn't throwing shade at you in any way, shape, or form.
Saw a good meme this morning.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's this. Those. I don't know how long it's been a thing, but these stock photos.
Oh my goodness, I love them.
with speech bubbles written on them.
Yes.
This guy at a Bunnings or something like that with a bug spray. Is this good for wasps? No, it kills them. I like it.
Oh, I found a Facebook post of about 20 of them the other day, and my partner Mel would be able to testify that I was shrieking with laughter for an extended period of time. Kurt Stenberg must have cut the track on that last lap.
Shaun Allan's gone ahead of him.
Didn't set a lap time, and yes, Shaun Allan has indeed stolen that 2nd place. My favourite of those stairs, a fella with his child in a pram, and he says to his friend, "Oh, have you met my daughter Beth?" And the guy says, "Oh, what's Beth short for?" And the guy replies, "Because she's only 3."
I did see that one this morning, and I did like it a lot.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't think of any of the others.
Oh, so, there's one where a fellow's having dinner with his lady, and she says, "Oh, can you go get us a gallon of milk from the store?" Presumably being an American that's made it, and says, "Oh, and if they have
avocados, get 6."
And he comes back with 6 gallons of milk and says, "They had avocados." What did this broadcast become? Just
I also like that they've got green lids. I don't know why.
Oh,
if that was intentional or not.
I wonder when Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick and Wayne Carr asked us to put on their broadcasts, were they expecting our broadcasts to the closing minutes of the round 5 Barbagallo qualifying broadcast to be us describing purely visual memes and laughing to ourselves?
I think we described them well, though.
I think we've done quite well. Yeah. Anyway.
But, we only do that because we believe that pole position has been settled very much in the favour of Dayne Warren. But there is still 80 seconds left in this qualifying session, and I think right now the interest is whether Thomas McMillan can do anything about his lowly position at the moment.
Yes, he'd be wanting to improve, to state the obvious. He's taken advantage of that runoff significantly.
And it hasn't registered his lap, of course. I wonder if he's just used it to try and get a stronger run onto his flying lap.
I didn't see anything saying that was outlawed, and it would give you a bit
of a grey area, isn't it?
A bit of a grey area, but I mean,
that's
That's what motorsport is.
If it wasn't a grey area, it would probably be grass and you would have no grip.
Oh. My
He's up,
goodness.
so it's worked, whatever he did.
It has worked, so he's half a tenth up. That's a little bit deep into the bowl, but it looks like he's hooked it up well enough.
Yeah, a bit of a mid-corner slide there for Thomas McMillan. And it hasn't really worked for him because he lost time through that middle sector. So it's hard to gain time through the final sector because it's basically downhill and then this last corner.
And this last corner is deceptively difficult because of that. There's that big drop just beforehand, so getting it slowed up in time is no mean feat. He wasn't too far off his own personal best actually, only about 800ths, but that won't be helpful for him, and this is not a fast start to his flying lap because the flag has just dropped, so this will be the last opportunity he has to register a faster lap.
Who else on track? Kurt Stenberg, who is only marginally behind Shaun Allan. Thomas McMillan's given up because he's currently in the middle of a very big slide. And that's it for Thomas McMillan. So Kurt Stenberg's nowhere near. He's 2.5 seconds off.
So that's not going to happen. So Dayne Warren with the pole position for the second race, with Shaun Allan once again behind, and Kurt Stenberg once again behind, and Zach Baker once again in 4th place.
And Luke Rosella once again in 5th place.
Did David Nenadich start the last race in 6th? Because if he did...
Yeah, haven't got that in front of me, but if he did, that would be remarkable.
Well, we know Thomas McMillan started in 8th, so if Colin Warwick started in 7th, then my goodness. And Kurt Stenberg's going into the wrong...
I have to look it up now.
The wrong pits. He's gone off behind the WA Sporting Car Club stand. I'm guessing that's what it's called. And now he's back in the Perth pit garage.
The silence you're hearing is me looking at the qualifying results from race 1.
I'm very interested. So Dayne Warren, Shaun Allan, Kurt Stenberg.
So Colin Warwick and David Nedich have swapped positions.
That's well, just not good enough, Colin. I'm not impressed.
David Nedich improves and is only 0.004 of a second quicker than Colin Warwick. So that's quite close, isn't it?
That's very close. That's a very, very close indeed.
Should we take a break? Yeah. Let's take a bit of a break. We'll be right back with all of the action from race number 2.
Don't go anywhere.
This week's driver in focus is Colin Warwick. Along with Kurt Stenberg and Chris Carr, Colin is one of the admins of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. So how did Colin find the difficult task of helping to organise the Automobilista Supercars Championship in 2019?
Oh, it was good. We had our ups and downs. I mean, the start of the year with the server issues, that stuff just around a bit. And then once we split it up into main and Super 2, then it went pretty good. Smooth sailing from there. Enjoyable. Yeah, very.
Consistent points finishes and a couple of podiums in 2019 helped Colin to finish 7th in last year's championship. But was he happy with the year's results?
Oh, I was, but I mean, I'm getting all new sim gear and upgrading from Logitech to Fanatec.
Last year, Colin dealt with some equipment failures that slowed him down in a few races, most notably the Bathurst 1000, where he teamed up with Ethan Warren.
Teaming up again this year? Yeah, we just confirmed that yesterday.
And what does Colin want out of 2020?
A lot more podiums would be nice. I mean, I only got 2 or 3 last year, so yeah, just try and be on the front more.
Finally, what is Colin's message to potential new drivers this year?
It'd be good if everyone could turn up and have a go. I mean, we're always looking for more drivers. Yeah, come and have a go. Website, Facebook, just send us a message.
All the information you want about the Automobilista Supercars Championship is now all in one place. Visit asc.rocksolidmates.com for all the official ASC content, including season calendars, results and championship points, broadcast information, rules and regulations, lap records and more. You can also get updates on our official ASC Facebook page. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification icon to get notified whenever we go live for all championship races.
The Automobilista Supercars Championship is proudly brought to you by RSM, Rock Solid Mates, ARW, Apex Rear Wing, CW, Colin Warwick Designs, and Jinx Shifters.
Welcome back to the 5th round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. It's the night round from Barbagallo. We are following the Supercars calendar, but the Supercars calendar as it was originally announced way back in goodness knows when, it seems like an age. But of course the championship has taken on a bit of a new dimension in real life.
Absolutely.
So we're continuing to follow the real life calendar as it was at the beginning of the year.
Absolutely, with it looking like the Bathurst is going to be in February next year.
Well, they're actually having 2 runnings of Bathurst.
The 1000s.
The 1000 and then the final round of the Supercars Championship will also be at Bathurst.
Oh my goodness.
Together with the 12-hour, assuming that the GT teams are able to get here in February next year. Lots of ifs, buts, and maybes.
Yes, so everything is ifs, it feels like at the moment.
Yeah.
We can only hope that that everything calms down by that time.
Bit of hope for the Formula 1 season to get away in a couple of months as well, actually.
Yeah. They reckon Austria, don't they? Which is what?
That's right.
Which is July. Which I would have thought is a little bit ambitious, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, they are taking a lot of precautions by the sounds of it with the biosphere plan and team members being tested every 2 days and only allowed in, of course, if they test negative. And then, of course, not allowed to mingle with anyone from opposing teams, only essential team members allowed in the paddock. So that'd be very interesting.
What an odd world we live in at the moment. I don't think if someone told me in January when we were all stressed about bushfires, remember that happened this year.
You wouldn't have thought you'd forget about a thing like that.
But I really wouldn't have believed anyone if they told us that 2020 would be like this.
It's been bizarre. Here's the reminder of the details for race 2. This is the long race, 100 kilometers, and there will be a pit stop in this race. They'll start off fully fueled, and then they'll come in around about, well, somewhere between laps 10 and 31. That is the pit window, so they can go a maximum of 32 laps on a stint. Last year's track record, 53.1. I actually didn't notice if that got demolished by Dayne Warren.
I'm sure it'll get demolished this race.
That's right. And, well, Dayne Warren, race 1 winner. It remains to be seen who becomes our winner in race number 2.
Yeah, it might very well, up that top right-hand corner that said Shaun Allan for 2019 winners. Very well, next year it'll say Dayne Warren. It's a hell of a 10. There's 3 track cuts allowed for each race.
No, that's wrong, actually. Sorry,
5 track cuts.
5 track
supposed to be. Excellent. We are off on our warm-up lap. So, leading the pack in pole position, second pole position of the night, and I don't even know how many of the season. Dayne Warren, followed by Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg, who had a gripping battle between themselves for that second podium position. Ended up going the way of Shaun Allan. Will it go the same way this race? Zach Baker starting in 4th place where he started last race, but a last corner glitch robbed him of that position. Luke Rosella starting from 5th place again after a solid, I think 5th place again last race. So top 10 are all pretty much where they were. Exception being David Nedich in 6th and Colin Warwick in 7th, who are swapped around. We have Thomas McMillan down in 8th, so we're hoping he will be able to lift himself up during the course of the race. Brody Steen starting from 9th place. He found a few positions during the first race. Can he find some more in this particular race? Alex Cattle, who was a first lap DNF in the first race, is starting from 10th place. Hayden Kruger, the teammate of Luke Rosella, starting from 11th. RSM Latino, the first of our wild cards from Super 2, starting from 12th. Steve Warwick in 13th place, and we have lost Jay Borg from the first race, so we have just the 13 runners this time around.
Shaun Allan's got a fair way to go to get to the front of his grid
Yeah,
box.
he's given himself a fair bit of run-up space, hasn't he? So, not sure if that will benefit him at all, and indeed, it won't. But the revs are rising.
About to get racing here at Barbagallo for the second time. Dayne Warren on the pole, gets a bad start. Steve Warwick gets a drive-through penalty. from the back of the grid.
Oh,
and it's 3 wide going into the first corner with Kurt Stenberg getting pincered on the inside. Unfortunately, we've still got some frame glitches, unfortunately, if I can get my words out. And it is Dayne Warren leading the way from Shaun Allan. Kurt Stenberg still challenging over second place.
That was almost frame by frame the same as it was for the last race, with Shaun Allan trying to go around the outside but just not having the grip to do it. Meanwhile, behind them, we have got the two Zach Baker Racing cars, Linus Stern in 4th and 5th, that Dave Nedich has made a position off the start. And Thomas McMillan up 2 spots in 6th place, so good start there for him as Dayne Warren is stretched out to a 4/10 lead already.
Yeah, so Kurt Stenberg down the inside has a bit of a look and then ducks back inside Shaun Allan, who goes wide at the final corner, which may well put him under pressure down into turn 1. We'll try and get these cars spread out a little bit so we can give you some clearer images.
Oh! Thomas McMillan down the inside, it looks like David Nedich into 5th place. So Thomas McMillan beginning a mighty climb up the ladder from his 8th place start by the looks of it. So very well done for him. Hopefully,
so he must have got his issues sorted to some degree there.
Yeah, or he's come to terms with it perhaps. As we've got, Zach Baker still holding on to that 4th place. So hopefully the same thing does not happen that happened at the last race to him. When I saw that penalty pop up for a second stairs, I thought that it was Dayne Warren again, and I was like, oh my goodness! But it was in fact Steve Warwick, who has not yet served that penalty. Actually, I lie.
He has
indeed served it.
And Colin Warwick is 11th for some reason. I don't know why that happened. He started in 8th place.
And we've got Hayden Kruger DNF, so we missed that. So that is unfortunate. Looks as if Colin Warwick just oversteered coming out of turn 5, I think that was. Was there
door-to-door contact with
Don't believe
Hayden Kruger? Luke Rosella. Hayden Kruger is out of the race.
Doesn't look like it. Looks like he did it all by himself. Just oversteered coming out of turn 5. And lost oodles of positions, unfortunately. So he is indeed just ahead of his father. And when I say just, I'm lying because it's 20 seconds.
Yeah, so a bit of a recovery drive for the Warwick brothers. Well, brothers.
Thomas McMillan,
father and son.
Thomas McMillan has come a cropper somewhere. He's dropped down into 7th place and he's about to drop down into 8th place as Brody Steen is up alongside him. So it took 3 laps for Thomas McMillan to get up to 5th place, and it's taken 1 lap for him to drop back down to 8th. So,
I say snakes and ladders. I think that was the word I used to describe his season. It also describes his night.
He's hit one of those snakes and gone, wee!
Well, actually, the first lap of this race was the only ladder that he's found.
And I haven't played snakes and ladders in bloody years.
It plays much the same as I remember it.
He's right on the back of Brody Steen though, and he's taking some very unorthodox dive down the inside to try to put him off, which very well might be doing the job. Because Brody Steen's a little bit all over the racing line, and Thomas McMillan going down the inside at turn 6. That's an ambitious move. I think he might have bumped Brody Steen wide there a little bit, and Brody Steen's going to get a better run, out of turn 6, I think, as he's up alongside Thomas McMillan. But Thomas McMillan scything across the track to try to take that inside line. This is very messy.
That was awkward. Yeah. And this is going to give Alex Cattle the run out of the final corner there, as they both look like they were trying to give each other a little bit space and avoid the curb on the inside as they go 3 wide down to the first corner, and Alex Cattle's going to back out of that, or is he? I don't know if there was a little bit of contact or whether that was just Thomas McMillan getting out of shape. Unfortunately, Alex Cattle comes a cropper. And that is...
I reckon that was contact with Thomas McMillan by the looks of it.
It's a bit hard to see with the frame rate issues, unfortunately, but that is unfortunate for poor old Alex Cattle, who was getting involved in a nice little battle there, and Thomas McMillan still in 8th place after all that.
After all that, what has he done? Not much.
All right, 2nd place battle is on here. Kurt Stenberg. And
that looked like a bit of a shunt.
Yeah, it could have been. They're all over the curb there. Shaun Allan using a little bit more of the racetrack than he probably normally would be allowed to do so.
His excuse would probably be, well, the admin punted me into it.
Maybe.
It certainly looked like a bit of contact anyway, but they're both still facing the right direction, so that's the important thing.
Play on. We saw a lot worse last round in Pukekohe.
Absolutely.
This is a gentlemanly battle in comparison.
Dayne Warren, speaking of gentlemen, has buggered off to a 2.5 second lead.
53.274. That's the fastest lap of the race from Dayne Warren so far.
Kurt Stenberg with the best lap so far, or we... No, sorry. We're just looking at his particular
I'm
lap.
looking at this. This is the live timing.
Yes.
It says what I just said.
Well, all right then. I'll sit the hell down.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach Baker.
Kurt Stenberg, sorry, he's down the inside once again at the final corner, and I think he might have got the job done this time. And it's going to be a side-by-side drag race down to the first corner. Kurt Stenberg still has the inside, but Shaun Allan was his nose marginally in front, and Kurt Stenberg, I think he's going to hold on unless Shaun Allan sticks his nose in. The next corner goes the wrong way, the next corner goes the right way, and they're still side by side. Shaun Allan has managed to carry somehow enough speed to get the position back after Kurt Stenberg had the high ground, and the mother of all wiggles from Kurt Stenberg. He holds on to it, and we're going to have round 3.
Absolutely. So, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kurt Stenberg had the high ground, but he didn't make as good a use of it as Obi-Wan did on the lava planet of Mustafar.
That was very specific.
Well, I just saw before pop up in the bottom left-hand corner, Dayne Warren, fastest lap of a 53.192, which is 4 thousandths slower than the fastest lap from last season. So he's certainly reeling that in, and I'll expect to see that come down later on in the race.
A little bit wide there from Thomas McMillan out of the final corner in his pursuit of Brody Steen.
His pursuit of getting out of 8th place, which he seems to be cursed to occupy.
At least in this race.
For this particular race, yeah.
Bizarre, isn't it? So we've got Thomas McMillan pursuing a race on Oscar. We've got Kurt Stenberg pursuing a race on Oscar. Very different fortunes for both of them in tonight's proceedings. Thomas McMillan didn't finish the first race. Kurt Stenberg finished 3rd in the first race, despite a bit of a scare, going off track and nearly losing a lap. But he did get the lap back, thanks to some intervention from the stewards. Assetto Corsa Aussie Down Under Series says, yep, Perth is the best state. I think you don't know what a state is.
Which I think goes to show the education standards in Western Australia.
We really need to do more for our Western Australian cousins, actually. I think we're neglecting them.
They clearly need assistance. Perhaps a nuclear weapon of some description.
Goodness gracious. Don't give them that.
No, as in we drop one on them.
Oh, I see.
Zach Baker currently still in 4th place, so well done him.
Yeah, good job.
And David Nadich in 5th place. So currently looking like a decent haul of points for ZB Racing, if I can say that, when we're not even a quarter of the way through the race.
Pit stop phase.
Thomas McMillan is certainly driving like he wants that 7th position.
I'm sure he doesn't want only that, but look, Brody Steen is just going to bowl it off the racetrack, and Thomas McMillan takes a freebie.
Just thank you,
mate.
See you later, to quote
Nico Hulkenberg.
Thank you. Oh, I had his name in my mind when I said his quote, but then immediately forgot. So
that happened right in front of us.
Luke Rosella is closing right up on David Nadich for that 5th place I was just speaking about.
There it is.
So 2 Mustangs going at it, very different liveries.
The similar colour schemes,
blue,
however.
Different blue.
A little bit more red there. Luke Rosella all out of shape, and I don't know
how
if David Nadich would have been able to see that in his mirrors, but if he did a very good job in keeping the position and giving him a little bit of space so he didn't get taken out. By Luke Rosella.
Bloody good save from Luke Rosella, I must say.
Good driving all round, I think.
Very good driving all round. Not usually what you see from a Mustang.
Well, put a bunch of these guys in it, and the storybook plays differently.
Absolutely. As he tries to go down the inside, does Luke Rosella. He's got his nose worked up into a very small gap.
Here we go.
It looks like he's thought better of it.
It was a deceptive camera angle. I was about to say I don't know if that's true.
This is this first 4 or 5 set of corners is a very awkward sequence of corners, because each one changes direction and changes inclination as well at the same time. Was it here, Stairs, that we saw in Automobilista Australia, Lewis Wedding fly off and down the embankment, and I compared it to viewing photos of the genocide?
We've had Thomas McMillan's gone off somewhere.
Lord.
And that is going to put play to his 7th place.
So, and he is indeed DNF. So,
Oh no.
so the parents have looked on, going, well, you just
He's
another.
onto the hard stuff now. So Thomas McMillan.
He's gone on from
There you go.
from toking the cannabinoid to injecting horse semen into his eyeballs.
Not even once. So... So that has resulted in Brody Steen going up to 7th place.
Absolutely,
Colin
he's
Warwick up into 8th.
by doing that, Thomas McMillan has somewhat undone the damage that he did to Alex Cattle's race by promoting him back up into 10th.
Oh yeah, that's one way of putting it.
I'm sure that's why he did it.
The battle for 2nd is now, well, it's maintained, but I think Kurt Stenberg's gradually closing up to the back of Shaun Allan. On the last lap, he took 0.2 of a second out of Shaun.
Certainly the closest battle on track at the moment. We missed
Matt Cecil says everyone knows Queensland is the best state.
Alright.
That's quite a good joke.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be funny if you weren't all inbred.
that's Tasmania.
I mean, oh damn. That's 3 times tonight. I do apologise.
Yeah,
I've been
a little bit of inbreeding in South Australia too, but we make it work for us.
We do.
In spite of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just put
How
our...
many states have we got left? Victoria, New South Wales, Northern Territory.
Yeah.
We'll get to them.
Well, Northern Territory is a territory, not a state,
That's true.
technically.
ACT.
So in terms of states, all we've got is Victoria left to insult. What can we say about Victoria? Well, they're currently drowning in coronavirus. Done.
There you go.
That's all the states insulted in one way or another.
If you're a teacher
Oh lord.
in Canberra and you wear a good suit, are you a class act? Teacher, ACT,
Yeah, no, I've got it.
class act.
I see where you're going, but I don't think it's as funny as it should be.
Took me 10 minutes to think of that. They got a better laugh than the joke itself.
Oh lord.
Everyone knows Tasmania makes 3 times the hat sales that everyone else does. I didn't know that, but I for one am impressed.
3 times the hat sales.
Yeah. I don't know
That is
what to make of that fact.
Do you have a citation for this? Because
In another universe, we just got back from Tasmania.
we did when we had a lovely hike.
We would have. The weather was fantastic.
That's right. When
I
we
don't know
go-
why I looked up what the weather was at a place where I was planning to go, but then wasn't able to.
Oh, you gotta think about it.
Yeah.
You gotta bring yourself down occasionally.
Cybanya says, as a teacher, that was something. And I'm going to take that as a warm, fuzzy compliment.
I'm sure that is exactly how they meant it.
Wayne Carr says, God, I love you guys. We are actually focusing on the racing still. If something does change, we will.
There's
Turn your
currently
attention to
not
it.
much to discuss. So
We've got these 2 battles here,
Oh.
the Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg battle. Kurt Stenberg getting
Steve-
all up on the curb there. They're about to lap.
Steve
no,
Warren just-
Dayne Warren has had some sort of
Oh
problem.
no, not again! Is it the same thing that's happened again?
Are we watching the same race again?
Is this? Are we watching this on repeat? Because the qualifying results were pretty much identical, so
Oh.
I would not be surprised.
Well,
It looks like exactly the same thing's happened again.
it does, doesn't it?
Or maybe it's just happened.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't go
Oh,
all the way around. He
that
managed to
one-
turn it into a half spin.
That
and-
one I'm not sure on if that was actually a glitch or if that was just he got too hard on the curb. It looked almost like he just oversteered.
I don't know. Does that happen to Dayne Warren?
Does Dayne Warren make mistakes? Is that in his programming? But you know what is in his program is to get away from Shaun Allan as fast as humanly
This
possible.
does look exactly the same as what happened in the
This
race.
is
almost to
uncanny.
the lap number.
Yeah, this is uncanny.
It is uncanny. Oh, we've got a move down at the final corner there from Luke Rosella on
David Nedich.
David Nedidich. Nearly said Zach Baker, but I stopped and looked at the timing screen. But he's pulled back out of that one. Meanwhile, Dayne Warren is trying to pull back. Now, because he didn't go all the way round, he just had that half spin, his tyres won't be quite as overheated as they were when that happened in the first race.
No, and you can see he's already looking like he's recovered, whereas it took about a lap or 2 last race. I'll tell you what, Dayne Warren's doing his level best to keep this race interesting for us.
Saying it's not?
It only take one more spin and we'll have a three-way battle on our hands.
Tell you what, if his tyres were completely shot from a big spin, then he would be able to come in and make a pit stop, because we're well inside the pit window, though not quite at the halfway mark yet. Now, every time I switch to my second camera, as Luke Rosella goes down the inside of David Nedovich, and they almost switch places. What the
heck happened there?
David, he's completely lost out. It looks like a bit of a lag glitch there for Luke Rosella. That was very weird.
Yeah, it looked like he phased through David Nedovich and became David Nedovich.
Anyway, when we're on this camera, the lap counter is wrong, so I apologise for that. When we switch back to the this camera, we have a correct lap counter, so we're on lap 18.
In the chat there, Thomas McMillan just saying, more wheel issues, lol. Now, lol, of course, does mean laughing out loud, and I think in this instance, he is not laughing out loud, Stairs, because...
It might be that sort of laughing you do when, well, what can I do?
When if you don't laugh, you're going to cry, sort of laughter, yeah.
He's a jovial chap.
I feel like we need a shorthand for that. What's the abbreviation for if I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying?
C-I soup. S. Crying in my soup.
Crying in my soup.
Yes, I jumped the gun by telling you what the S stood for.
C-I soup.
Sis.
Oh no, sis means something completely different.
Yeah.
Someone starts telling, like, if you go saying, "Oh, I'm so sad, I'm cis," people are gonna take that the wrong way.
Oh, Kurt's gone! Kurt's gone!
Oh my god, this is the same race. What is happening? So
he's just had a snap oversteer in the first sector.
He still hasn't moved. Oh, there he goes.
No, he's back. He's back running.
He's dropped a position to Zach Baker.
Here's the replay, Madbird, on the other screen for you. And that almost looks like the same spot where he had a lose in the first race.
I think it was the corner before in the last race. But this time around, he hasn't missed a checkpoint, so he is still showing us on the same lap. But he has now got David Nedovich and Luke Rosella for company right behind him, and he has lost that third position to Zach Baker, who is looking very good for a decent finish this race.
My goodness gracious me. Well, he hasn't lost a lap, so...
That's the important thing.
It's not exactly the same, but it's mighty, mighty close. This is unbelievable how many uncanny resemblances we're getting in race 2 to race 1. But one thing that we do have with race 1 is that with race 2 is it's going to keep on going for another 17 laps, I think it is.
It's like we rewinded the tape of the second race and watched the first half of the tape for race 1, and now we're watching the complete race 2. Thomas McMillan saying, "Put me in the bin."
Wayne Carr says, "I'm laughing because I've been telling him for 6 weeks how to fix it." I'm wondering if he's referring to Thomas McMillan's wheel issues, or we've got a pit caller, and that is going to be Luke Rosella.
Yeah, so
as Zach Baker closes in on the back of Kurt Stenberg.
David Nedovich, indeed.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. Did we know that Zach Baker got ahead of Kurt Stenberg in that spin? Okay.
I said as much, but you obviously weren't listening.
I've got a lot of balls in the air.
You've got a lot of balls. Well, Luke Rosella, yes, out of he was in 6th place, right behind David Nedovich, who I think Kurt Stenberg's got an issue or something, because he is not moving as fast as I would expect him to.
Yeah. Luke Rosella's on the move. So first pit caller, lap number 21.
Going for he's been behind David Nedovich for quite a few laps, so he's probably looking for an undercut of some description.
That's when you come into the pits before the car that you're battling.
Speaking of people coming into the pits, is Kurt Stenberg.
So let's see if Luke Rosella gets a bit of an undercut on Kurt Stenberg as well as David Nedovich. So the fresher tyres will give him quicker lap speed for a little bit, but of course there is the offset of having more fuel on board. As I said at the top of the broadcast, they would have started the race full as a fat woman's sock, and then they come in and they tend to still have a bit of fuel left when they come into pit, and so they don't have to spend as much time stationary. You missed that the first time I said it.
Yeah, my goodness.
Thought I'd say it again.
Looks like we've had an issue somewhere because there was a yellow flag. It's now gone.
It's been cleared.
I think it might have been Alex Cattle having an error, and Shaun Allan into the pits, as is Zach Baker by the looks of it. So we've got second and third into the pits.
Meanwhile, Luke Rosella has jumped Kurt Stenberg in the pits.
My goodness.
In fact, you're about to go a lap down because Dayne Warren is looming in the back of shot. If we get another angle that shows it, there he is. Not even a long shot. They'll be getting the blues very quickly indeed.
It's quite disconcerting seeing him swoop through that swoop through that bowl behind you, like a rogue wheat pick. Is that the singular of wheat picks?
This is going to play into Zach Baker. Never mind. I was going to say it was about to play into Zach Baker if they have to jump out the way with blue flags.
So Shaun Allan, sorry to cut across you,
That's fine.
is probably looking for an undercut, not with too much hope over Dayne Warren, but
race leader's in the pit, so he's not going to get a lot.
We've seen that Dayne Warren does make mistakes in the pits, so it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Dave Nemedich, who was about to take over the lead, is coming to the pits as well.
Shaun Allan just coming down the back straight now, and entering the last corner right about now.
Brody Steen in the pits as well, and there is Shaun Allan.
So that's going to be a healthy lead for Dayne Warren, because that pit exit actually leads out past turn 1. So, he's out on the grass a little bit just to get some texture on those tyres.
That's one term for it. Texture.
Grass texture.
Allergy trigger is another.
So we're halfway through, Stairs, just over
24
24 laps out of 42. Which of course is the meaning of life.
That's more than halfway.
It is.
21 is the halfway mark, so they won't have as long to do. On this, you didn't mean exactly halfway.
I was being approximate. But,
yeah, of course.
You know, that's fine. Very snippy tonight, the both of us.
I didn't think we were.
Maybe I'm just a bit sensitive.
That's all right.
So
I haven't seen humans for a while.
Yeah.
No, I have actually. I live with them.
Yeah, but you haven't seen a person outside of the people you live with in some time.
I suppose, unless you count my housemate's girlfriend. She kind of is starting to live here.
Oh yeah.
Left her handbrake. Well, no, her handbrake was on. Car rolled down the driveway. I was telling you before the broadcast.
You did. Speaking of
I'm now
cars.
saying it again for the benefit of everyone watching.
Hit a large rock.
Good thing the rock was there. Otherwise, it might have hit a large tree.
Well, at least she wasn't in the car at the time, unlike my particular claim to fame, which was driving my mum's car into the front of our house and totaling it.
I understand why you used that segue, but if she was in the car, she probably would have stopped it from hitting the rock. just saying.
Oh yes,
it's just an amusing segue. That's all.
I mean, that's what I was suggesting, is that at least she wasn't in the car at the time.
Oh, and caused the issue by being.
Whereas me with my 2 left feet forgot which one was the accelerator.
It's something that elderly people do.
I know. When we called the insurance company to say, we've driven into the front of our house, they said, old people do it all the time.
They specifically said that.
Yeah.
That can't have made you feel better.
Didn't, as a whatever I was at the time, 24, whatever I was. That was a good car too. Anyways, Dayne Warren in the lead by 3.5 seconds over Shaun Allan. There he is.
Yeah, he's had it mostly his own way.
Has he beaten that lap record yet? No, he hasn't. So he's still 4 thousandths off.
Yeah, I wonder if he's
that fastest lap.
I've got to check now whether he's beaten it in the first race, because I don't want to go into the post-race interview unequipped.
Absolutely not. While you do that, I'll continue our wrap-up.
Yep.
Wrap up. Oh, sorry, our stock take.
Just said we're halfway through the race.
Shaun Allan, well, we're almost 3/4 of the way through the race. The laps.
We spent so much time talking about mathematical semantics.
Shaun Allan in second place, with a lot more breathing room than he's been used to so far these 2 races, with Kurt Stenberg having a big accident through this very corner that he's going through.
Sorry, not looking at
turn 6, that's fine. Which keyboard am I after?
There you go.
There we go.
Right.
There we go. So that's Shaun Allan.
Yeah, no, we're looking at him.
There we go.
Yeah,
And then we've
cutting
got-
from Shaun Allan to Shaun Allan.
Then we've got Zach Baker, who is currently in 3rd place, having taken that last position
I've got it.
from Kurt Stenberg. In 4th place, we have got Luke Rosella.
Who's actually in a battle right now, so let's keep this in our sights, shall we?
After undercutting Kurt Stenberg in the pit stops.
Much to Kurt Stenberg's,
chagrin.
yeah, I would say so.
I don't think it would be to his pleasure.
It's been quite a fortuitous situation for Zach Baker, who's 5 seconds ahead of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Zach Baker, who in the first race was running good in 4th, but then that last corner glitch robbed him of that particular position.
So the fastest lap in the first race was 53.209, so we have managed to beat that in this first race, so we might see a race lap record stand.
My goodness, Jake Maloney will be absolutely ecstatic.
Well, I don't want to speak too early, you know. don't want to open the doors prematurely as Luke Rosella goes a little bit wide out of the final corner and loses the position. I think he's relinquished that position because he track extended at the final corner. And Kurt Stenberg is through up into 4th place.
Absolutely, so Kurt Stenberg can now set about taking that 3rd position back. There's a fair old gap of about 5.5 seconds to Zach Baker ahead, and Zach Baker's no slouch.
No,
So
a slouch he is not.
a slouch he is not. He is definitely a good posture.
Yeah, every time you say that, I realise how bad my posture is.
Oh mate, I'm like constantly like I'm surprised I don't have a hunchback from how much I like bend my neck at an uncomfortable angle like this. Oh, it's hurting actually.
Do you find you do that more being taller to get on level with other people? Go on. Go on, tell me more.
Mainly, I don't want people looking up my nose. As
see.
Luke Rosella's pulled into
That's not the pits.
the other side of the start-finish straight.
Some sort of technical issue? He's
Yeah.
blown his engine.
Oh,
I can
no.
see smoke coming out. I reckon that's what it is. That's a second blown engine in 2 rounds. We've not seen them very
Oh
frequently.
my goodness. And he's flashing his lights in what I can only assume is frustration. So he must have switched down too fast coming into that last corner. Good onboard shot here.
Yeah, I just want to hear the gears.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a not happy car.
Wow. And
It
he's not
didn't
going to get any service from a defunct pit lane either. Not that he would be able to get a car repaired with the actual
Didn't
pit lane.
seem that aggressive on the
Didn't.
downshift.
It might have just been overheating and that was
Oh! Kurt Stenberg!
straw that broke the kettle. The camel's back. What are you scaring me about?
Kurt Stenberg just had a very Larry run through the last corner. He's fine.
He's fine.
We've got nothing to worry
Let's try
about.
and pick
but
him up if we can.
It just... caught it out of the corner of my eye, and it gave me something of a fright.
Pause for thought.
Pause for force.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we might see if we can catch a replay then, since it's what's going on camera.
Since we've got 10.8 seconds out the front,
Yeah.
it's Dayne Warren. Regular service has resumed.
Last corner, you said.
Yep, here it is.
All right. Just might have been a bit distracted lapping Shaun. Sorry, not Shaun Allan. Alex Cattle. Yeah, and got.
It looked a lot scarier in the long shot.
It was
I
very
must say.
awkward over that curb. Kind of like, straddling a mad woman. There you go. So that was Kurt Stenberg. He's still quite happily going about his business.
Straddling a mad woman.
In 4th place.
My goodness. Well, let's continue our stock take.
Oh yes, we were doing that.
Where
A lot
are we
of
up
things
to?
have happened.
So Kurt Stenberg still currently in 4th, having taken that position from Luke Rosella, who has blown his engine since we spoke about him. Colin Warwick in 5th place. David Endich in 6th, where he started this particular race. RSM Latino in 7th, which is... Oh! It's happened!
There you
Dayne
go.
Warren has just obliterated it by about a tenth and a bit. The fastest lap, that is, with a 53.07 something, 076.
There you go. I hope you didn't open up the Shandon, Jake Maloney. Because your lap record has not stood the test of time.
RSM Latino up 5 positions.
Oh, Alex Cattle's off!
Oh, my
Alex Cattle
goodness.
in the fence! What is happening?
What is happening? So he is still in 8th place.
He's been in the fence for quite a while.
Although I say he's still in 8th place, that's because everyone behind him is DNF.
So you can't get any worse than 8th place, but he's probably not going to collect points. What is happening? I think that might be a connection issue.
Yeah, that's definitely lag.
Or a game crash.
And
So
then,
that's unfortunate for Alex Cattle. An attritional race.
Yeah.
Down to 7 runners.
7 runners out of what was originally 13, so it hasn't been a packed grid tonight.
We've got 10 laps to go now.
So after the now DNF'd Alex Cattle, we have the also DNF'd Luke Rosella, who blew his engine. Brody Steen DNF'd. We missed that.
Oh, you didn't see what happened there. So 7 runners is by far the smallest number of runners that we've had finish a race all year long.
Steve Warwick, I saw pull into the pits at one stage. Thomas McMillan is presumably unconscious, having taken some very hard drugs. And Hayden Kruger, I believe, DNF'd on the first lap. Possibly the second lap.
Yeah,
No, it is indeed
it
the
was
first
early
lap.
on. He completed 1 lap. So that was lap 1 for Hayden Kruger, lap 10 for Thomas McMillan, Steve Warwick. Going out in lap 12, 27 and 29 and 30. We lost Steve Warwick, Brody Steen, Luke Rosella and Alex Cattle and in subsequent laps, the last 2. So that's why it's felt like we've had a very sudden drop in numbers. It's because it has been quite sudden.
Thomas McMillan in the chat just saying something happened to Stenny. He hit that last corner curb. He's still currently in 4th, although he is right. He actually co-admin and the now mended-footed Colin Warwick is right behind him for that 4th place. So not sure how long ago it was, but
It wasn't on the last lap because his last lap time's normal, and I'll just check that out to see when it might have happened.
so yeah, that last lap, that last corner, claiming more victims and just showing doesn't matter if it's cities, people, or racetracks. Western Australia can do nothing right.
Yeah, so it was about 3 laps ago. He lost 8 seconds with that. So even when they know the problem with that curb is there, it can be hard to avoid. The trouble is, it's on the apex of the corner. So,
And I think it doesn't happen every time, and it's probably such a big time loss to not attack the corner that you sort of I think they're sort of taking their chances with, well, hopefully I won't hit that particular pixel that breaks my car.
And then if it doesn't happen, they might get lulled into a false sense of security for a little while.
Exactly, and it's 42 laps or 42 times they've got to go through it, which is not an insignificant amount of times. So
this is all closing up with David Nedovich not too far behind this pair. There he is in the back of your shot. And despite only having 7 cars in the race, well, almost half of them are in one shot there. So they are close on track. Dayne Warren, of course, has a pretty decent lead. Shaun Allan looks set to take 2 second places in 2 races. Although if he has a curb issue, Zach Baker's ready to pounce, only 4 seconds behind him.
got
What has caught your attention?
Minardi fan 95. I'm not sure who that is, but saying that both Alex and they had game crashes.
That might have been Brody Steen,
Possibly.
because we saw Luke Rosella's engine thing, so that wasn't a game crash.
No, definitely not. Yeah, possibly Brody Steen.
Well, considering they're both race on Oz drivers, that's quite likely, I would say.
But they were talking at the time. That's a damn shame.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a great night for a race on Oz. Well, apart from Shaun Allan,
Well,
obviously.
Shaun Allan is really probably the silver lining to that comment, because yes, they've lost their other 2 drivers, and although Alex Cattle is driving for Race on Oz, he's not driving for their main team from a
satellite team.
points point of view. So Brody Steen is the only driver from that particular team in terms of a points situation who's not bringing home any points. But Shaun Allan more than making up for that, I would have thought, especially with Dayne Warren's teammate Ethan Warren, who we saw in the chat earlier on, unable to race because he's quite busy with work at the moment. I believe he is in the camp of essential worker, so it's kind of like a feast or famine thing. You either don't have as much work as you normally have, or no work, or you have way too much.
It's a very odd, what a world we live in 2020.
Yeah, to think that I'd be excited about races coming back without fans. Well, having said that, I don't mind if there's no fans. It's football that's weird to watch without fans.
Yeah, that first... I watched that first round, Port Adelaide versus Suns, or whatever it was, I believe, with no crowd. And honestly, it honestly wasn't as odd as I was expecting it to be.
Used to it?
Yeah. Luke Rosella, last
corner is cursed.
Is cursed, confirmed.
Condolences to Luke Rosella, if you've just joined the broadcast, whose engine broke there at the final corner. So, only a few laps to go.
You've heard it here first, folks. For season 2021, the racing line will be going through the pits rather than taking the last corner.
You must be happy.
Probably safer for everybody.
You must be happy with the AFL not having played for 10 weeks or so. Your team's been on top of the ladder for
Port Adelaide Premiers 2020.
Quite a while.
I wonder what they'd do if there was no more football for the rest of the season.
I'm sure they have to have like a minimum number of rounds to constitute a season.
Well, I wonder if it's ever happened. I guess they technically have to win a grand final.
Wasn't there something weird that happened during the war where there was like the wooden spoon made the finals and then won the grand final or something like that because they didn't have many teams at the time?
Probably.
I remember reading something like that.
That sounds like a thing that would
We're talking about AFL/VFL, of course.
Indeed.
For all of you... well, with most of our fans of Western Australians, they follow the correct code of football. So.
Yeah, it's just the people in Queensland and New South Wales who.
Colin Warwick's in the car right now, so he can't defend the sport that he loves.
Oh, what?
In NRL.
What, like run at man?
Well, actually, having said that, I don't know if it's NRL or the other kind of rugby. Oh, you can tell how uneducated I am about the.
How big a difference can it be, really? You're a big, manly man, and you throw yourself at other men.
He broke his foot for that game.
He did.
Now he's coming under pressure from David Nedidich.
Well, we've only got 2 laps left in this race, Stairs.
So he's going down the inside. Colin Warwick's going to relinquish the position. He's going to dive down the inside and try and retake it. Careful of that curb, Colin. It's going to be a drag race out of the final corner. He muscles David Nedidich to the side. That was a bit rude, but he's going to get that position back.
Yeah, that was rude, but seemed fair. They left each other enough room. David Nedidich just ran out of track, basically. We are on lap 41 of 42.
Wow.
And Dayne Warren is actually about to begin the last lap. He's just crossing the line now.
And that is the start of the final lap for Dayne Warren. He's once again taken the lap record. We didn't think he would do it for a little while. And this battle looks set to rage on. David Nedidich trying to take back that position from Colin Warwick as they go side by side through the first corner and muscles back the position from Colin Warwick.
I believe that was turn 6, sorry, through the bowl. So they're going down the back straight now. And the last corner here with David Nedidich defending on the inside. Colin Warwick not able to get up alongside him on this particular occasion, so they'll have one last go-round. Kurt Stenberg really isn't too far ahead of these two either.
Oh, it's going to be almost 3 wide. I thought David Nedidich was going to dive down the inside of Kirsten, but Colin Warwick gets all out of shape. Last corner now for Dayne Warren. He's absolutely in a class of his own. 14 seconds ahead of the competition. Shaun Allan is going to finish second. Dayne Warren's going to J-turn it around the final part of the race and wins in dominant style from Shaun Allan. Well done, Dayne Warren. There is Shaun Allan taking the biscuits and ended up only a second ahead of Zach Baker. I wonder if he had an issue. Oh, sorry, that's not Zach Baker. That's a lap car. That's Zach Baker there. Beg your pardon. Do a straight. Look at this.
Very close.
Kurt Stenberg's going to lose out if he's not careful. Very close, you're right, and Colin Warwick a long way off.
Yeah, Colin Warwick, I think he tagged David Nedidich in turn 1 and it just put him off a little bit. And Kurt Stenberg, not happy with that particular race, I don't think. Straight into the wall, into the litter box with all the cats.
Podium in race 1 for him, though, and it didn't quite work out the same way in race number 2. RSM Latino finished in 7th, and he was the final man to finish this race because we had 6 retirements.
That is a good haul of points for last place, is RSM Latino in 7th.
Well, he kept it there, and he's also the championship leader in Super 2, so he's going to find his way up a few positions in the main game championship points classification, I would have thought. So well done to him. And of course, well done to Dayne Warren, our double race winner, double pole sitter, lap record, and race lap record.
Absolutely. Very, that was just dominant from Dayne Warren. With the exception of that error at the last corner, which again wasn't really his fault. Although this one looked a little bit more like just a driver error if he does indeed make those. Apart from that, faultless drive as per usual, and a richly deserved win in both races.
Luke Rosella says, "Put me in the red bin."
Why the red one specifically?
I guess he doesn't have any recyclable components.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
I would have personally used the green bin.
Well, yours and mine would be blue.
Yes, maybe. I can never remember.
Mitcham Council bins are blue.
Oh, there you go. You've just narrowed down.
You know, I recently,
location
I've
of
been
the
went
studio.
walkabouts.
Yes.
I contacted the council to say, can we please get a replacement bin? They said, please provide us with your police report number saying that your bin has been stolen, and we will provide you with a new bin, which I thought was bureaucracy gone mad. Working as I do in a different council, and we just go, yeah, whatever, we'll deliver a new bin.
I'm going to assume at some point that the honour system has been taken advantage of there.
Seems
in your
like
council region. We don't even get lids.
No.
For our bins, we've got 2 green bins which don't have lids. So how do you know they're green bins? Well, because the other 2 bins do have lids and they are not green. But apparently we have,
Bloody marvellous.
in our council, we do have the right to a blue bin lid and a yellow bin lid, recycling bin, but we have to pay for our green bins. So
How bizarre.
Go figure. Kurt Stenberg says, send me to the tip.
Speaking of Kurt Stenberg.
Well, Kurt
And various
Stenberg,
others.
let's have a chat with him because he finished 3rd in the first race in the beginning of the night and was running 3rd, but it all sort of fell apart towards the back end of race number 2 and finished 4th. A few issues with the curb, a few issues in the first sector for you, Kurt, but still a decent haul of points for you.
Yeah, a bit disappointed about race 2 there. Feel like I had the pace to get in front of Shaun, but yeah, lost it at the last corner, at Cobb Corner. Went round, and then after that I was a defeated man. I just was driving around, hit the curb, so I was trying to push to get back to back, and then I didn't want to be there the last few laps, but I'm happy to get 4th basically due to attrition, I'd say, from other competitors. But yeah, first race was good, so at least that's one thing.
Yeah, it was starting to play out almost exactly the same way race 1 did at the first half of race 2. We noticed quite a few similarities. Were you feeling the same?
I was feeling the same. The fact that me and Shaun were battling pretty much the whole time, and then Dayne made an error at the last corner again and hit the curb and back on. So, but it didn't quite play out the same as the first race, unfortunately.
Well, it was still a decent haul of points, and we can move on now to the next round in Winton. Not necessarily a driver's favourite. How do you feel about Winton?
It's my least favourite track on the schedule. I don't like the place. Not a big fan, and I'm not very good there. Struggled there last year. Don't even think I got near the podium. So, remember having a good battle with Shaun. That's about all I can take out of it. So, yeah, be a bit of work required when we go to Victoria for that round.
There you go. Well, we wish you the best of luck there. It seems like you might be going in there with low expectations, so you might surprise yourself.
Well, that's all you can do is hope that you surprise yourself.
Absolutely. Moving on to Shaun Allan, and it was second place for you tonight, and coming off the back of a second place in the race in Pukekohe against Thomas McMillan. That's 3 second places on the bounce. And you were pretty good here last year, so I think this circuit seems to agree with you.
Yeah, not too much to complain about. It was good racing with Kurt. Shame he made the mistakes each time, but yeah, I don't know why I'm half decent at this track. Yeah, no explanation really.
Could be, I don't know, get the direction changes, the elevation, are those aspects that you like about it?
I actually don't like it that much. It's not a favourite track of mine, especially into the bowl. I hate the way you've almost got to go in there on the rears. So it's not my favourite track. I can't drive it exactly how I want to drive it, but I just seem to be half decent.
There you go. I suppose that makes you have a bit more of a conscientious approach to it. You're not really doing it by, you're not sort of doing it with your unconscious mind. You're doing it with your conscious mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I definitely had to use my conscious mind though after I hit that inside curb on the last corner and lost about 6 seconds. I was lucky I had enough space in race 2 to Baker behind, because I sort of freaked out after that.
We didn't actually catch it on the broadcast, but we did see the drop in your standing to be quite close to Baker. How did the last corner actually happen for you? Did it spin you around, or did it just sort of lock your steering and send you off the track?
Yeah, so it locked my steering and just sent me straight, and I was lucky to not actually hit that wall. I sort of was modulating the brake to try not to lock so much and just turn the steering wheel and pray that it turned at some point before I hit the fence. So if I hit the fence, I was probably in more trouble.
Absolutely. Well, second place seems to be a position you're making your own right now, and glad to see you're adding a lot of points to your tally. Winton next. How do you feel going into the next round?
About the same as Kurt, I think. I probably like it a little bit better. It's technically my home round. I'll live close enough to there, I guess. Yeah, don't know what to expect, really. I was a bit dodgy there last year. I might be a bit better this year, so I know a little bit more in terms of setting up the car and whatnot. But,
yeah, well, we actually saw quite a good battle between yourself and Kurt Stenberg at Winton last year, which made the highlights reel of our opener for the broadcast, so maybe we'll see some more of that.
Few good overtakes around the outside. My favourite spot there. But this is the sort of, from here on out to the end of the year, myself and Kurt are pretty well magnetised to each other within the races, so I expect a few good races coming up.
Well, we've had a few good ones already, so we absolutely hope to see that, and we look forward very much to that. Let's move on now to our race-winning driver and pole sitter, track record breaker. We thought for a moment you weren't going to break the race lap record, Dayne, but you did manage it in race number 2. Been quite a busy time for you, engineering in the E-Series and all that sort of stuff, but you've still come here and continued the rich vein of form that you've showed all throughout the year.
Yeah, that was a bit engineering for E-Series and PESC and all that. Yeah, it's been a busy time, but I always enjoy taking a break from my racing and spending some time on AMS with all the lads, so it's been good. And I definitely heard about that track record. I think McMillan was yelling in my ear at some point saying, "Oh, they're saying you don't have it." But, so that worried me a bit. But yeah, I don't know. Apparently the track record from last year was like a 0.7 or something, so I'm still not 100% sure if I've got it, but if I do, that's pretty good.
If it is a 0.7, then I've written down the wrong numbers, but I believe you did get it in the end, so congratulations on that one. But not beaten by the same sort of margin as some of the other tracks that we've visited, I think.
No, it's a bit of an odd track. I'm going to throw the book of excuses out and saying that I only started practicing today, but it's a really hard track to find any sort of decent time at, and like compared to a lot of the other tracks, I don't think setup makes too big of a difference. So yeah, there wasn't too much to be found, and not much practice is my excuse.
Did you know about the issue with the final corner? We saw that got you a couple of times.
I found out during the race. Yeah, it's pretty average. Luckily I had the gap over Shaun and Stenny, otherwise I probably would have been in the bin, but yeah, just lucky to maintain it really, because apparently it can get pretty average if you hit it the wrong way.
Yes, but I believe it had been improved from last year. It was flipping people on their lids, I hear. So at least that didn't happen, and we still had a bit of a race and a bit of excitement from our point of view when you found yourself defending once again from the likes of Shaun Allan and Kurt Stenberg.
I tried to back Shaun a bit into Stenny to see if I could just make things a bit more exciting, and
It worked.
Stenny was a bit scared of the brake pedal, it seemed. Didn't want to get up the inside of Shaun to have a real go, but that's alright. It was a good race anyway.
And next round is Winton. As I've asked the other two, they don't particularly like it. What are your thoughts on the racetrack in regional Victoria?
Well, I did a few laps last year for it, and it was pretty average. You had to have a quite out there setup to be quick, so it'll be quite interesting in that regard. But we'll just see how we go. Turn up on the day and pray that we're up the front still.
There you go. So that should provide a bit of a different spectacle to Barbagallo, as you said. This circuit, not so much a setup track, and Winton is. So congratulations again, Dayne. You've cemented once again your spot at the top of the championship. We look forward to seeing you next round.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks, lads.
Absolutely. Well, Madbird, that was Barbagallo. We saw there was a few technical issues in game. We dealt with a few today, but I think we came through the other side stronger for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun just trying to madly fill for time while you're struggling with some variety of technical issue, but you do it with confidence and aplomb.
Oh, thank you.
Whenever it does happen.
Good word usage.
Thank you.
I'm-
I thought so.
At least I am able to rectify such issues, and you can see from a safe 1.5 meter distance.
Absolutely.
Sort of.
I mean, we could probably touch if we stretched
don't.
our hands out,
No.
but let's not.
I don't want the Rona.
Absolutely. How about you, Stez? What do you think about Winton? You're not a huge fan, I don't think, either.
Not of driving it, but last year's race was absolutely fantastic.
It was.
It did provide some terrific action, and I'm hoping to see a bit more of that. And it, of course, will be the 1 year anniversary of your bet with Lewis Kugley.
I was about to bring it up, but thank you very much.
Well, we've neatly segued into that, haven't we?
Yeah, so it's about a year without that $10 in my pocket. So if anyone has the information of Lewis Kugley and maybe wants to tell him to, stop being a tight.
Well, we don't actually want the money to be paid before that, because it'll ruin the excellent
No.
segment I have prepared about that. But,
Oh no!
with that cliffhanger roughly, in the rearview mirror, I think that is about us done for tonight. Madbird highlights as we close out this broadcast.
Some fantastic battling between Kurt Stenberg and Shaun Allan. As Shaun said, they seem to be sort of stuck to each other so far this season. Let's hope that continues, because last season, last season their battle at Winton was an absolute cracker. So if they can put on another show like that for us, I will be very pleased.
I would be too. So we'll see you in a few weeks' time for round 6. Bye for now.
See you later.